All right. Going live. We are live. Sweet. Yo, welcome Shade, welcome King. First two people here. Woo. Who here is ready to see some flashbacks? We live, yes. Good job, you got a war. Good job, King. So, I hope everyone's excited. There's a big main event tomorrow on my Twitch, but discuss that later. Tonight it's Monday Night Livestream time. That means more Fruit of Grisaia, which I'm looking forward to as always. Oh yeah, and per the norm, expect a re-upload of last week's Twitch livestream on my YouTube channel tomorrow morning, most likely. But yeah, we're playing some Fruit of Grisaia today. And tomorrow we're gonna depart from Celeste for 1 week. Do something new, interesting, and something that releases tomorrow. But yes, I hope everyone's doing well tonight. It is Monday night. Let's focus on the Monday night stuff. It's very quiet, but you know what? Just here to help? Well, that's fine, Shade. Thank you. Alrighties. Whew. It's 7 p.m. It says it's 7 p.m. 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. Which means, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Monday Night Livestream presented by yours truly, animefanrk2k. Tonight, we will continue the flashback with Amane, within Amane's route on the Fruit of Grisaia. So, with that said, we finally met Kazuki. Starting on this track, we're starting on serious live stream Shade. Clearly, serious. The second day in the valley. So, for last time, for those of you guys who don't remember, yeah, Yuji found out a little bit about Amane, who got the nickname Cockroach from her peers back in the day, and we're gonna find out a little about that. And it's about Amane surviving a bus accident that had 13 casualties, her being the 14th member of said party, and surviving it. So, the second day in the valley. Let's go. Serious. That morning I woke to the eerie song of distant birds. Oh snap. I burrowed into my sleeping bag and closed my eyes, fully expecting to lie awake all night, but evidently I must have dozed off at some point. Welcome, Metal. You can beep all you want. When I forced open my unexpectedly heavy eyelids, I found the interior of our cheap blue tent, illuminated by a slanting ray of morning sun. Thankfully, the temperature had risen with the dawn. Well, we had people already dead, so must have slept for at least a few hours, but the burden of my fatigue was no lighter. If anything, I felt even more exhausted than I had been the night before. Still, wrapped in my sleeping bag, I turned sideways on top of my thin silver mat. Twisting my head toward the other side of the tent, I was surprised to find my roommate missing. Kazuki? Where could she have wandered off to? By the way, if you guys are wondering, I don't really have a set voice for any of the characters, so the fact that it's from Amane's perspective, and I have to talk like her, yeah, don't expect too much from me. The man's sleeping bag Kazuki had been using sat on the ground next to me, neatly tied together in a tight roll. From the look of things, it was unlikely she just stepped out to use the bathroom. Kazuki was clearly already awake and taking action. Oh yeah, that's right. King, it's not baby mode if that happens to like a 14-year-old. Like don't belittle the accident just because there's worse. Just so you guys know, it's for everybody. Just because you have it worse than somebody else doesn't mean you should belittle someone else's problems. Everybody goes through their own life and through their own hardships, alright guys? I know, serious music, serious anime. So, you know, just saying. Oh, crawled outside the tent to a clear sky but dim morning. The sheer cliffs to our right and left intercepted most of the sun's light. What little reached us filtered down through gaps in the thick vegetation far above. By the way, also, no spoilers for Infinity War. I have yet to watch it. So, don't say it's depressing or anything like that even. Like, I understand, but... King, I just said, don't compare your hardships and strifes with other people. You go through your own life. Everyone else goes through their own lives. It's not the same. It just isn't. It just won't be. And that's how it is. Because, remember, everyone goes through their own problems their own ways. How big or how minor it is completely irrelevant. Everyone goes through their own. Okay? Let's see. The sheer cliffs to our right and left intercepted most of the sun's light. What little reached us filtered down through gaps in the thick vegetation far above. No doubt the same reason it felt oddly chilly for a summer day. Psychiatrist anime? No. It's just you know, with the recent trend in social media, you have to sometimes step back and go, hey guys, we can be a little bit nicer to each other. Oh, thanks, Metal. But, you know, so, like, you know, be a little bit nicer, be a little bit more, you know, sympathetic, empathetic, etc. You know, don't... I'm not saying you haven't seen anything, but I'm saying Amane is going through her own problems. Like, don't belittle the fact that Amane is going to be the only survivor by the end of this 2-week period stretch of time, because we know from just before this flashback started, she will be the only one that survives. So, you know, let's see. Others had already emerged from their tents into the gloomy dawn. Here and there, they sat quietly on the hard stone ground. In addition to the trauma and mental exhaustion of the previous day, we'd slept in an unfamiliar environment. Not the best way to get rested and refreshed. Most had barely slept at all, judging from the dark circles under their eyes. No, I have not. Or will she survive? Well, she does, because we saw the future. Called out to a freshman from the neighboring tent, Ibuki Haruna seated down some 3 meters away. Ibuki brushed her long bangs out of her eyes with her fingers and responded listlessly.
Kazuki? Oh, Kazami-san nara shabeluを担いで森の方に行ったから、おトイレじゃないかな?
Yeah, you know, toilet, it happens. Amane has normal proportions right now. No, what are you talking about? She grows even more.
So...
I turned toward the valley's lone exit, the tangle of vegetation we call a forest. But Kazuki was nowhere in sight. I did, however, happen to notice someone acting rather oddly a little ways off. No, I did not, Shade.
So?
I mean, I remember it, but, you know. It was Sakuma Minori, a third-year senior. She was a talented athlete, particularly skilled at sinking three-pointers, who earned the title of scoring queen in our team. At the moment, she was repeatedly hurling a small object straight up and down into the air. I don't like that, senpai. Basically what she said. Ibuki didn't bother to lower her voice. She didn't seem to care whether her frank words might reach the ears of our senior. As a result of last night's discussion, she'd been paired with the with that very Sakuma-senpai, and was stuck sharing a tent with her for the duration of our stay here. The combination seemed logical enough since Ibuki and Sakuma had been sharing a room as boarder students, but room assignments in the dorm were arbitrary, arranged for the convenience of the school. Whoops, I messed up that sentence. Yes, Shadow Realm. By Shadow Realm we mean death. As in most boarding schools, the freshmen tended to moan about running chores for their arrogant older roommates, while seniors complained about being expected to clean up after some clueless brat. If you're stuck living in the same room for an extended period of time, the reasonable thing would be to deal with your differences and find a way to get along. But it seems things aren't that simple, particularly for girls. And the roommates who disliked each other most tended to be exactly the ones who were kept together when rooms were reassigned the next year. It wasn't just coincidence either. From what I'd heard, our school deliberately tried to create awkward combinations as a sneaky way of maintaining discipline. Letting friends clump together naturally leads to cliques and groups attempts to skirt the rules. In turn, this can create a sharp division between those who want peace and quiet in the dorm, and those who want to enjoy themselves. Sometimes these would end up in nasty squabbles. In other words, the mixing of oil and water personalities in individual rooms prevented larger scale problems, or so I'd heard. As someone who commuted to school, it was a bit hard for me to understand dorm politics. Dorm politics, guys. Important.
Sakuma-senpai, さっきから何をなさってるんですか?
And Amane goes right to the heart of the problem.
Oh, Amaneか. これだこれ.
She looks pretty cheerful. Sakuma held out the small object she'd been hurling repeatedly into the sky. Specifically, it was her cell phone. She'd been repeating a simple pattern of action, throwing it straight up with all her might, retrieving it on the way back down, then throwing it right back up again. On closer examination, the body of the phone was battered and covered in fine cracks. She probably dropped it numerous times by now.
昨日の夜、眠る前に思いついたんだけどね。メールを送信したまま空に投げれば、うまいこと圏内に入って助けが呼べるんじゃないかなと思ってさ。
I mean, that's a good idea, but if you break your phone, it's not going to send the message anyway, Sakuma.
今朝からずっと試してるんだけど。よっと!
She's whipping it up there like wham! The fluid overhand motion, Sakuma launched his cell phone into the sky once again.
それ、すごくいいアイデアじゃないですか。
I mean, that's assuming you got signal even on the mountain curve.
だろ? 私もそう思ったんだけど。おっと。
Skillfully catching the cell phone as it plunged back to the earth, she flipped on the screen and checked the status of the transmission.
また失敗か。もう50回ぐらい投げてるけど、一度も成功しないよ。やっぱり、風見の言う通りなのかもね。
Yes, they actually mentioned that due to the nature of the little cavern or like cliff they're in, because the metals, it makes it so that their compasses don't work and that their cell phones get no signal. They didn't actually clarify if they actually had signal above on the road though. Yeah, they did explain it. So, last time.
和樹はなんて。ただでさえ電波が届きにくい環境の上に、もし圏内に投げ込むことができたとしても、送信する前に落下してしまえば意味がないってさ。
Yep, there you go. Sakuma just explained it. Yes, they actually, I believe, hypothesized a meteorite might have fallen and made this this natural like zone that's terrible for phone signal.
だったら携帯が戻ってこないように崖の上まで投げちゃえばいいじゃないですか。私だってそう思ったさ。さっきから投げてるのは崖の上に乗せてしまおうと思って投げてるんだけど。
Yeah, they're probably down. Yeah, they're probably down pretty far right now. Although I couldn't tell the exact height of the cliff she was aiming for, a conservative estimate would be 50 meters. That's approximately like, was 160 feet? 170 feet? Something like that. And since the wall sloped over us, some fairly precision aim would be required to land it on top.
後で何かうまい方法を考えると風見は言っていたけど、守備よく崖の上に乗せることができたとしても、そこが圏内である保証はないってさ。
Yeah, that's important.
そうですか。
I'd hit on the idea of making a crude sling out of a towel or something to throw the phone over the cliff, but it was true enough. There was no evidence we'd be accomplishing anything even if it worked. If there wasn't any signal up there either, we'd end up throwing away a valuable potential means of communication for nothing. And yet Sakuma was keeping her at her task relentlessly, probably mostly for the sake of having something to do. She seemed to know full well that was essentially hopeless.
それで、その、和樹を見かけませんでしたか？風見ならさっき大きなシャベルを抱えて森に入っていったよ。30分ぐらい前かな。トイレにしては長いね。
Yeah, that's...
ちょっと私、様子を見に行ってこようかと思います。
You don't want to walk out there, Amane.
気をつけた方がいいよ。さっき私も森に入ってみたんだけど、道なんてどこにもないし、周りは木ばっかりで目印がないからすぐに迷う。
Yep.
何か分かりやすい目印をつけながら行った方がいい。はい、分かりました。気をつけます。
I'll laugh if, like, the reason why Katsuki actually did a shovel was to make a very distinctly marked path with it. It's already been half an hour since Katsuki entered the forest. Definitely way too long for a bathroom break. It was hard to imagine Kazumi Kazuki, of all people, making such a careless blunder. But there was a possibility she'd lost her bearings and wandered in the wrong direction. I cautiously made my way into the forest, using the blade of a can opener to mark tree trunks with arrows as I went.
Kazuki!
Interesting. Yeah, that's pretty smart. I tried shouting her name, but there was no reply. I studied the ground at my feet. Although crushed vegetation made it clear that some of us had been in this area recently, the trails were indistinct. Not that I could tell which belonged to Kazuki in the first place. That requires you to have a higher level of tracking, Amane. When I glanced behind me, I found the route I trampled through the high grass was still very clear by comparison. Surprisingly, however, it was a meandering zigzag, probably the result of constantly winding my way around trees. I thought I was walking perfectly straight, too. This is what makes the wilderness a truly terrifying place. Yeah, it's very hard to keep your bearings straight sometimes, so it's important. I thought I had a pretty good sense of the dangers of wild mountains from books and comics, but now that I was actually experiencing one, I was quickly coming to realize how badly mistaken I'd been. I'd gone in believing that getting lost in the woods would generally work out for the best, so long as you reacted appropriately. That naive thought dissolved in mere minutes inside the jungle. In an environment utterly barren of any trace of other human beings, your sense of isolation quickly builds into anxiety. It becomes easy to rush into action based on unfounded optimistic assumptions. It's got to be this way. It was probably over there. Shying away from acknowledging the worst case scenario, running around on your intuition alone, you become lost, truly and hopelessly lost. In time, your anxiety reaches a new stage. Am I simply wasting my energy wandering around in circles? And an even worse fear, because it's paralyzing. You're frozen where you stand, trapped with your own slowly escalating terror. And eventually the fear of death creeps up on you, breaking your courage and robbing you of reason. In the end, just such an outcome is entirely likely.
Kazuki!
Looks like it is wearing on her a little bit, but hopefully she's marking those trees. It hadn't been 10 minutes since I entered the forest, and I could already feel myself trembling. I'd begun to sink into the first stage. Powerful anxiety at my own isolation. I screamed Kazuki's name for the second time, a little louder than before. This looks just like the one we saw right before. Maybe it would be smarter to return now, while I still know the way back, then launch and organize a search for someone else. But just as these thoughts were running through my head, I heard the rustling sound of someone stepping their way through the high grass a few paces behind me. My body went stiff with shock. I spun around to find that Kazumi Kazuki had materialized out of nowhere, the usual vaguely sleepy expression on her face.
Fans. Kazuki! そう、風見和樹よ。 サインが欲しいのならマネージャーを通して事務所に色紙を送ってちょうだい。え？何？色紙？いや、だからここであなたはアイドル気取りかって突っ込んでくれないとボケゾンってやつじゃない。
So Kazuki, you'd be a magical girl in a spin-off series, what?
あ、そうか。ごめん。いいわよ別に。それほど面白い冗談だとも思ってなかったし。
Yeah, that joke was a failure.
カズキ、どこに行ってたの？
I say most of my jokes are failures, actually, guys.
トイレよ。一人でゆっくり用を足すこともできないなんて、まさにアイドルのようだと思ったから口にした冗談だったのだけれど。トイレにしては遅いじゃない。30分も頑張ってたの？
She had to poop, man. Your style is humor metal?
ついでだから食べられそうな草を摘んでいたのよ。ほら。
Hey, edible plants. Kazuki held out some small, unfamiliar vegetables. They seemed to be immature shoots of some leafy plant.
山菜でも生えていればと思って探してみたけれど、こんなものしか見つからなかったわ。何それ？食べられるの？
Of course, you can eat a lot, and you'd be surprised. Nature is filled with food.
草ソテツのわかめよ。一応生でも食べられるけど、おひたしとかにした方がいいわね。
Fern sprouts.
へえ、こんなの初めて見た。あんまり美味しそうじゃないけど。
If you cook them properly, it tastes good.
ろくな食べ物がないから、それらを餌にする野生動物も当然いない。鳥の声はするけど、その姿は見えない。
Kazuki's like, I want to catch a bird, eat some meat.
熊に襲われる心配がないのはありがたいけれど、改めてひどい環境だと思い知ったわ。とりあえず朝食はこれで済ませましょう。調理法は任せるけど、調味料の類はできるだけ節約して。
You always want to save seasoning for later.
食材ならまだじゃがいもも人参も残ってるけど、日持ちのするものはできるだけ残しておきたいの。3日でここを脱出できるとは限らないのだし。
Kazuki, thinking ahead.
そっか、そうだよね。そんなにがっかりしないで。確かに絶望的ではあるけれど、助からないと決まったわけではないから。
Is Kazuki suffering from some sort of disorder? Maybe, maybe not. I would say that, in her case, it definitely seems more like a nurture thing versus a nature thing. Like, this is how she, grew up, basically, it sounds like. By the way, that sentence was terrible. That had way too many of the word like in it. So, apologies.
どうかしら。別にはぐらかすわけではないけれど、さすがの私にもまだわからないわね。私たちが助かる方法ってあるの？
Yes.
あるわよ。どんな方法？
Classic is that I don't like it, but
何？あるんでしょ？方法が。あるにはあるけれど、まだ無理。無理ってどういう意味？
basically, something tells me the reason why she wants Amane to save the seasonings is when everyone else dies, for her to take enough to live off of and basically make it to civilization with it. Oh, that's gonna be really terrifying and horrible if that's how Amane survives this, is by eating the flesh and the flesh of her fellow peers to be the only survivor in the end of it. She also has that photographic memory where she can literally remember things to the exact details, so she can recreate it in her head at will.
今の私たちでは実現不可能という意味よ。
Yep.
ごめん、私バカだから意味がわからない。 今は無理ってどういうこと？時間が経てば可能になるってこと？
Yeah, I think Kazuki is thinking of the worst case scenario. Like, if only one of them can survive, maybe, or two of them even.
そういうこと。それに救助が来る可能性もまだ残っているし、今はただじっと耐えるしかないわ。
You don't want to start cannibalizing your friends yet.
ねえ、どんな方法なの？ヒントだけでも教えてよ。
I hope I'm not right. Like, in all honesty. Oh, she acts the way she is just to get back to Yuji? Huh.
人間が死なないために必要なものってなんだ？
Oh yeah, Kazuki hasn't yet mentioned the fact she has a younger brother, right? So, that's entirely possible.
水？
Oh wait, no, she did say something about wanting to go back because she had to. So.
あ、思い出した。さっき草を積んでいるとき、湧き水が湧いている場所を見つけたの。
Hey, water's important.
というわけで、飲み水の心配は不要よ。
Hooray!
なんだ、水か。
Hey, water's good. Water breeds life, Amane. You could live like 3 days without water. But with it, you could probably go like a week and a half. Of course, everyone in theory has a motive to survive so far. Amane, Kazuki, the teacher, probably.
そうがっかりしたものでもないわよ。水があれば1週間は生きられるもの。部長にはあなたが発見したって報告してくれる？
Yeah, because she's not gonna like the fact that Kazuki found it.
それは構わないけど。じゃあ戻りましょうか。
Hooray!
あ、待って。私まだヒントの答え聞いてないよ。人間が生きていくのに必要なものって何？食べ物よ。食べ物？それが助かるためのヒント？
I swear I better not be right about this.
そういうこと。だからできるだけ接触しておく必要があるの。それでみんなが助かるの？
No, you're not all gonna survive on Monday. It's basically you who has enough strength at the end to survive well.
全員が助かるとは一言も言ってないでしょ。
Kazuki's like, you can't save everybody. It's true.
もう戻りましょう。あまり遅くなるとみんなが心配するわ。
They'll start missing Amane at least. Betrayal as a reason for someone dies? Entirely possible.
カズキ！大丈夫よ。帰り道は完璧に覚えているから。私についてきなさい。
That's right, Kazuki does have a photographic memory. That might help in this situation too, where she can place. Might help in this situation where she can basically place like scenery per scenery as she's seen it, and then just rewind back and retrace her steps. We should stop trying to guess what will happen. Yeah.
わお、すごい剣幕ね。何をそんなに怒っているの？
Wow.
わおじゃないわよ。全員は助からないってどういう意味？そういう可能性もあるという意味よ。早い段階で救助が来ればもちろん全員助かるわ。じゃあもし救助が来なかったら？
Yeah, we are going to go through this full
それはその
thing.
時に考えればいいことよ。編成された救助隊の捜索が打ち切られるのは早くて5日、遅くても14日。1週間経っても救助が来なければその時に考えましょう。みんなで。
That's true.
そんなに心配しなくてもあなたはかなりの確率で生き残るはずよ。
Oh snap, Kazuki, you called that one.
どんな根拠で？そんなの決まっているでしょ。私のパートナーに選ばれたからよ。本気で言ってるの？それ。もちろん本気です。さて、質問は以上かしら？
Well, Shade doesn't want to spoil anything for me, which I appreciate.
よろしい。では戻りましょう。
Vanitas, oh, he's not here, but Vanitas gets a little trigger happy in the spoilers. He's like, I want to talk about stuff. I'm like, I understand, man, but let me read it because we will get there. We'll get to that point.
もう勝手にずんずん行かないで。面倒な子ね。不安だから手をつないでほしいのならはっきりとそう言いなさいの。別にそういうわけじゃ。あらそう。じゃあいいのね。手をつながなくて。
ああ。
つなぐ。はい。お声が遠いのですが。
Kazuki's just now teasing Amane.
つなぎます。手をつながせてください、和樹様。あら、いい子ね。いらっしゃい、あまねちゃん。もう、これからは勝手に一人で行動しないで。私、心配したんだよ。
Sorry about you.
あなたが私を？
Yeah, because you're friends.
そりゃさ、私ごときがおこがましいとは思うけど。
Don't belittle yourself too much, Amane.
いえ、そういう意味ではなくて、むしろ私を心配してくれる人がいることに驚いたというか。
Katsuki, I think a lot of people are worried about you with the way you act.
でもそうね。ごめんなさい。そんな顔しないで。まるで母親に置いていかれた子供みたいな顔じゃない。大丈夫。あなたを置いてどこにも行きはしないから。
I mean, to be fair, I think Katsuki would at this rate because she's taking a liking to Amane already.
約束？ええ、約束するわ。さ、戻りましょう。
I swear, if this is the longest route we happen to go on, I'll be like, Since I was physically sturdy, I was usually the one being relied on by others. But at that moment, I realized I'd grown totally dependent on that diminutive girl, Kazumi Kazuki. I wasn't used to leaning on others like a crutch. Clinging to someone usually made me feel more awkward than anything else. But that day, the distinct warmth of Kazuki's small hand was very reassuring. That's right, because she's nervous.
ごめん。いいのよ。私の母親もこんな感じの手だから。
How's your mother? She's dead!
私のこと、お母さんって呼んでもいいのよ。あら、言うようになったわね。
Oh man, that quick back. Good job, Amane. Day 2 continues. Hey, the live stream thumbnail. What? Kazuki guided me by hand back out of the forest. When we returned to the camp, we found everyone gathered in front of the tents, discussing plans for the future and proposing escape strategies. Of course, we were students from a school for rich, young ladies, with only the superficial appearance of maturity. Producing a perfect smile for a polite good day was the extent of the practical, non-academic knowledge we gained there. As such, experience wasn't exactly of much use here. The majority of the ideas were unrealistic, founded on by the assumption the world would arrange itself for our convenience. If anything, it could be called good fortune that a few halfway decent sounding thoughts were mixed in. For example, Sakuma's throwing a cell phone into the sky. However, the majority of these more worthwhile plans had already been tried out by the person who brought them up, all with little success. In this life and death situation, everyone tossed out any idea that popped into their head, grasping at straws in a desperate search for hope. It's very important. But when someone proposed we capture a bird and wrap a letter around its leg asking for help, Captain Sakashita finally lost her temper at the sheer absurdity. Dude, they're literally... It's called being desperate.
そんな、私たちだって必死に考えてその程度なの。小学生だってもう少しまともな意見を口にするわよ。それとも何？この次はどうやって鳥を捕まえるかという議題で話し合うつもり？何もそんな言い方しなくたって。
Hey, I just so happen to have a messenger bird. Yay! And then they were saved. Wait, what?
確かに一番必死なのは坂下かもね。私たちよりまともな意見があるなら言えばいいのに。
Oh, look. The leadership power struggle is happening. The stage whispers of her critics naturally reach Captain Sakashita's ears, as they were intended to.
あなたたち、言いたいことがあるならはっきりと言いなさいな。そんな陰口のように恥ずかしくはないの？
Captain Sakashita's irritated, impatient tone was no different from her usual scoldings during practice. But at that moment, we weren't in that usual situation, tucked away in our safe gymnasium. It was a life or death emergency and everyone was frantic. The dog probably would die in the forest. Much less not be able to get up the cliff. True, I think they do have a dog left, right? Uh-oh. At such times, people instinctively seek out someone to rely on. The more desperate the situation, the more we throw aside rank and title and turn to raw competence. It felt like many gazes were beginning to concentrate in Kazuki's general direction. I don't think it was just my imagination. Oh, acknowledging the superior leader in this particular situation. Though, we'll see how this goes. Captain Sakashita seemed to have noticed as well. Swallowed by what looked like an overwhelming surge of irritation, she abruptly grabbed a nearly fist-sized outcropping of rock, then squeezed it so hard her fingers turned white. This isn't good. We weren't going to achieve anything by continuing this attack on Captain Sakashita, and I think we all knew that. Even so, I understood the temptation to create a scapegoat, the irrational feeling that pushing all the bitterness and blame onto another would wipe away our own shortcomings, as if doing so would save us somehow. For most of the team members, the captain had become the scapegoat, and for the captain it must have been Kazuki who filled that role. As the main authority figure, our advisor Mr. Ochi probably should have interceded by now, but he seems intent on staying out of the conversation under the pretext of attending to the wounded. Yeah, he probably has no idea what to do. He's like, yo, went to school, graduated, became a teach, got to teach these middle school girls, no problem, get into a bus accident. Fuck. He never made a habit of intervening in the team's quarrels, policy typical of teachers at all female schools, who know full well what a nuisance it is to get caught in the crossfire of a schoolgirl squabble. Plus, he's male on top of that. He'd probably get hit by the sexual harassment suit. His normal approach was to smooth things over with the individuals who involved after the fight died down. He was probably assuming that would be enough this time as well. What should we do? Not that I really have grounds to criticize his passivity. In the end, I glanced pleadingly at Kazuki out of the corner of my eye, hoping she would rescue us from this ugly situation. Apparently reading my mind from that small movement, Kazuki let out a short, resigned sigh, then slowly opened her mouth to speak.
もうその辺にしておきなさい。バカを相手に喧嘩をする人が一番バカよ。その言葉、私に言ったの？それとも彼女たちに？みんなに言ったのよ。あなたにはどう聞こえた？そういうあなたはさっきからずっと黙っているようだけど、何かいいアイデアはないのかしら？
Should probably say like Nayo.
おとなしく救助を待つという提案が一番最初に決まったはずですが。
Oh yeah, that's right.
何もしないでただ救助を待つというの？いつ来るかもわからない救助を。いつ来るかわからないから無駄に体力を消耗したくないのです。
Yeah, it's literally this is the second day. Like, you know, no drastic measures should be taken to at least day 4.
幸いなことにスオさんのおかげで水源は確保できたことですし、接触すればしばらくは持ちこたえられますが、それとも。
Kazuki covered her mouth with her hand and narrowed her eyes in apparent amusement.
それとも、以前私が申し上げたように、一か八かの賭けに出て、あの密林に足を踏み入れて脱出を試みますか?
As she spoke, Kazuki jerked her head in the direction of the overgrown humid jungle sealing our only exit from the valley. Even from a distance, tangled mass of plants exuded the indifferent menace of nature. Interesting. The captain had empathetically shot down this suggestion only yesterday. Overturning that decision now was probably impossible. Cold sweat forming at my temples, I watched nervously as the captain's face changed color to an extremely disturbing shade of red. But in the next moment, Kazuki shot me a quick, suggestive glance. Oh, I get it. I abruptly jerked my hand into the air as if requesting a teacher's attention in the classroom. Amane's like, I'm butting in!
おっしゃったようにうかつに森に入るのは危険だと思います。
Oh snap, look at that backup. Hey, welcome Neko Kirito.
それはもう誰もが理解していることよ。
ですからとりあえず1週間この場で思いつく限りのアイデアを試しながら救助を待つというのはどうでしょう。
どうして1週間なの？
この手の遭難事故の場合、だいたい2週間で捜索が打ち切られるそうです。ですから1週間待ってみて救助が来ない場合は、その時にまたこちらから行動を起こすアイデアを話し合いましょう。
Very fair.
それを今話し合っているのでしょ？あなた何を言っているの？
Welcome back.
それはどうして1週間後にも今日と同じ体力が残っていると思えるのかしら。不思議。
何ですって？
Turned my head slightly to the side and shot Kazuki a brief glare. Not that she ever even noticed, judging from her unruffled, perfectly indifferent expression.
いや、でも、まあ、つまりはそういうことです。とにかく1週間、思いつく限りの手段で SOS を発信しながら救助を待って、それでも救助が来なかったら、その時の体力や食料事情に応じた対策を話し合いましょう。
Oh.
まあいいわ。確かに今はそれぐらいしかできることもなさそうだし。それでよろしいですね、先生。
Yep.
ああ、とりあえずはそれでいいだろう。
Yeah, that sounds good. Yep. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'm the teacher. I'm totally here. I'm totally here. Yep, like right there. See, I totally exist. Yeah. Carry on.
では最後に私からの忠告です。各自アイデアを出して実行するのは構いませんが、決して無茶のない範囲で行動するように。
Yeah, don't act with reckless abandon, because that's usually bad.
崖に足場を掘りながらよじ登るとか、そういった危険が伴うアイデアはくれぐれも実行しないように。以上。
Ooh, that's an idea, but it'd be very hard. You have to like pick at it like while climbing it. With those clipped words of warning, the discussion finally ended, taking with it the tension that hung thick in the air for so long. The rest of the group quickly broke up into their assigned pairs, whispering furtively to each other as they walked away from the meeting place. Of course, I was no exception, as Kazuki promptly stood up from her seat and made to leave. Chase after her immediately offered a few words of complaint.
ちょっと、さっきのはひどくない？
That was a low blow.
あら、何のこと？また私に重要な発言を丸投げしたでしょ。私、和樹の腹話術人形じゃないんだからね。
It's tough for me. I'm, you know.
変ね。私、あなたに何か言えと命令した覚えは全くないのだけれど。言わなくてもわかるわよ。それに目で合図したじゃない。
Hey, I like how Amane like picked it up too.
ええ、確かに合図は送ったけれど、まさかああも敏感に感じ取ってもらえるとは思ってもいなかったから、私も嬉しくて。
You have to love the workings of like the shadow behind the seat of power.
今日は一日ニコニコしていると思うけど、気持ち悪いとか思われないか心配だわ。
And Aman's gonna probably sigh in exasperation now.
なんかいろんな意味で気持ち悪いのは確かね。あまね、私はあなたがとても気に入ったわ。もし私が男なら間違いなくあなたにプロポーズしているわよ。やめてよ、私そっちの趣味ないし。
I like guys.
ええ、大丈夫。私にも今のところそっちの趣味はないから。今のところって。
Kasuka's like, hey, people fall in love, it happens. She implying there's a chance she'll swing that way in the future?
まあ、絶対にないとは言えないわね。
Yeah, you never know. Life is full of mysteries.
だから、私の心を先読みして会話をしないでよ。何にせよ、あなたのおかげで話がうまくまとまったのだから、1000の感謝を送りたいわ。
I like how even Amane is like calling it out now. It's pretty great, actually. Probably not gonna happen, Metal.
才ですか。そりゃよござんしたね。
That's quite the accent, Amane.
それでもやはり残る懸念はあの部長ね。やっぱり私、あの子が嫌いだわ。
Might have to usurp her power after all.
はっきり言うな。確かにちょっと上から目線が鼻につくけど、基本的に悪い先輩ではないと思うけど。
You know, you get along with people, you get along with, you don't get along with people, you don't get along with it. And it happens. While her tone tended to be harsh, her directions during practice were appropriate and reasonable, and she cared more about the members of her team than you might assume. Currently, she was in a far more taxing situation than captaining a school team could have possibly prepared her for. Taking that into consideration, you could say she was coping fairly calmly.
確かにそうかもしれない。でも、仮にも部という一つの組織をまとめる長なのだから、せめてブレインストーミングぐらいは理解していてほしいのだけれど。何？
It's called brainstorming.
ブレインストーミングよ。何それ？
It's an English word, guys. Even though she only said brainstorming, yo.
ググりなさい。
Google it, fool!
は？
That's right. Dropping the Google bomb right here.
説明が面倒な時の合言葉よ。でもまあそうね。通信手段が途絶している今この場では酷な言葉ね。まあ簡単に説明してしまうと4つの原則があるの。
I hope someone paused the video just to Google brainstorming. Like at that moment, like, brainstorming. And she says Google and they're like, oh! And then Kazuki explained the oh.
はあ。1、決めつけない。2、否定せずに何でも受け入れる。3、とにかく数を出す。4、結合する。以上の4つよ。
The truest form of brainstorming is right there, guys. Remember, you don't reject any idea and you see what you can do with the ideas you gain.
つまり、どんなにくだらない意見でも否定せずにとりあえず聞いてみて。一見して無駄のように思える意見でも他の意見と組み合わせることで有効な意見にできないかを考える。それがブレインストーミングよ。
Yep.
おお、なんか天才っぽい。
No, it's something that people do a lot.
茶化さないの。結構真面目な話をしているのだから。あ、うん、ごめん。それで？さっきの話し合いで彼女は他人の意見に否定をぶつけるだけで何一つ建設的な意見は口にしなかったでしょ？
Basically, it sounds like the captain didn't want to personally do any of those.
そう。例えば火を起こしてのろしを上げるとか、いっそ森に火をつけるとか。そんな意見に彼女は何て答えたかしら？
Dude, torch the forest. That's such a great idea. You know how many people you get?
それは確かもう試してみて効果がなかったんじゃなかったっけ？のろしの煙は重なった木々の枝で分散されちゃうし、山火事の場合は冬場ならともかく今の季節は森自体の湿度が高くてジメジメしてるから無理だって。
There's probably a way to create a fire even in that condition though.
そう。他にはどんな意見があったかしら？次はメール送信状態の携帯電話を崖の上に投げ込む？それも佐久間先輩が何度も試して失敗しているわね。他は？テントのシートを材料にしてタコを作ってあげるとか、鳥を捕まえて足に手紙を結びつけるとか。あら、何か思いついた？
Footholds.
ねえ、タコに携帯電話を結びつけて空に上げるってどうかな？そうね、試してみる価値はあると思うわ。
That's pretty ingenious.
さっきの話し合いではそんなこと思いつかなかったのに。
Because you shot down the things before going, well, how can we use all these together?
あれもダメ、これもダメと否定するだけの話し合いに意味なんてないわ。くだらない意見も全て受け入れた上で、その中から複数のアイデアを組み合わせて新しい意見を考える。 そういう発想があれば、あの話し合いも無駄ではなかったはずなんだけどね。どうしてあの場でそれを言わなかったの？
Because then Kazuki would have usurped a leadership role and the captain would have been pissed.
だって、また余計なことを言って怒られたら嫌じゃない。それに、物の考え方の価値って、人に教わるより自分で気がついた方がずっと高級だと思わない？
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true, because when Amane got it, she said, "Oh!" Right?
例えば、タコに携帯電話を結びつけて飛ばすアイデアとか？ええ、そう。そのひらめきが脳を活性化させるの。やっぱりあなたは最初から答えが分かっていて、私に思いつかせるように会話で誘導したのね。そういうものの捉え方は心外だわ。それともあなたは学校で数式を習っても同じように教師に噛みつくの？今の私たちと学校での私たちじゃ置かれている状況が違うわ。
Yeah, it's at school. Yeah, I agree.
何でも教えてくれる人が身近にいると自分では考えることをしなくなる。そういう観点で見れば同じことよ。
It's very true. Stagnation.
私、あなたのそういう回りくどいところが少し苦手。
I think Amane does become better at using this, though. Right?
気をつけるわ。
Duly noted. I'll be careful. Felt like I was beginning to understand why my conversations with Kazuki sometimes felt slightly off. The discussions I had with this girl reminded me strongly of a classroom dialogue between a teacher and a student. She never revealed the answers immediately, instead dropping vague, indirect hints. She clearly regarded those with no desire to learn as unworthy of her wisdom. In other words, very much like a veteran professor and an aging department head with a knowing smile. Kazuki deigned to consider the matter seriously. Might she be able to find a way out of this whole mess in the blink of an eye? The more I thought about it, the more these little lessons of Kazuki's seemed like an indirect way of rubbing my nose in my inferiority. The implied message was, "You're incompetent." Frankly, it kind of pissed me off. And since I really was incompetent, I couldn't come up with any biting comebacks, which pisses me off even worse. I had an itching desire to show her up somehow, but what could I possibly hope to defeat her at? Alright, if nothing else, I'm probably a better cook. Yeah, there was a pretty good chance I could teach her a lesson or two in that arena. I latched onto that trifling point of superiority, imagining Kazuki fumbling around helplessly in the kitchen under my wry supervision. Geez, you're all thumbs, Kazuki, and all that. Before I knew it, there was a smile on my face. All of a sudden, this aggravating young woman looked like a cute little girl. I was slightly exasperated at my own simple-mindedness. Yep. Quickly put the culinary skills in question to use, whipping up our meager breakfast. As Kazuki and I were choking it down, I ended up telling her about that little daydream.
その単純さこそが人が自殺をしないためのシステムよ。
Well, it helps us from committing suicide. That's nice. She responded with these pretty much incomprehensible sentences, that and a gentle smile. What the heck is with this girl anyway? Well, whatever. I finished my breakfast. It hadn't exactly filled my stomach and inspired a burst of energy for the day to come, but I nonetheless decided to take a little positive action by proposing the kite cell phone idea to the captain.
あなたもなの？
どういう意味です？
そのアイデアを私のところに持ち込んだのはあなたが初めてではないという意味よ。10分ぐらい前に金田小森のペアが来て試させてほしいって言ってきたの。
Oh.
そうなんですか。
So other people were actually brainstorming. Yeah, I guess anybody could have come up with that one.
同じ実験を2つすることに意味はないし、他のアイデアを思いついたらまた来なさい。
わかりました。
I've been feeling a little proud of myself for coming up with a pretty decent idea. For some reason, it felt as though that achievement had been pulled out from under me. I trudged back to the tent, my shoulders drooping, and told Kazuki about the outcome. There was another pair that had hit on the exact same idea. Of course, Kaneda and Komori had participated in the same discussion, and had the same information to work from. It wasn't that strange a coincidence. Indeed, Kazuki showed no surprise whatsoever. Quite the opposite, she nodded her head with the words, "Ah, I figured as much." From what she told me, something called reminiscence was likely at work here.
レミニセンスというのはつまり情報を得た直後より一定の時間が経過してからの方が記憶の関連付けが進行する分、早期や連結発想がしやすくなるという現象ね。
Guys, I hope you're in for a lesson because it's time to study down. Kazuki explains it all.
また難しい話をしようとしている？そうね。専門的な話をすると長くなるし、やめておきましょう。
Sure.
ぜひそうしてください。それで何か他のアイデアは思いついた？タコをあげて発見してもらうというのは他者の視覚に訴えかける通信、つまり光媒体の通信だよね。ええ、そうね。携帯電話を使うのはそのまま電波通信でしょ？
Yes, we are only on day 2 still. It's true, Shade.
つまりそういうこと？もしかして私が今から言おうとしたこともう分かっちゃった？
Visual.
音による通信の可能性？なんだ、やっぱりバレてた。
It'd be funny if Kazuki said, "No, I actually didn't think of it until you mentioned it that way."
いいえ、私も今あなたの話で気がついたのよ。つまりバスのクラクションを鳴らすとか、そういった聴覚に訴えかける大音量装置による通信でしょ？うん、そう、そんな感じ。まさかとは思うけど、みんなで大きな声で叫ぶとか考えていたわけではないわよね。
That sounds like the nail on the head right there.
それは考えていたんだ。はい、考えてましたよ。どうせ私はアホですよ。
This is the longest route? Damn.
発想の着眼点は悪くないわよ。誰かに先を越される前に部長に報告してみたら？
Sorry, someone came and said they're gonna honk the horn now. Beep beep.
一応報告はするけど、きっと私でなくても誰かが思いつくアイデアよね。
Actually,
言ったでしょ？そういった小さな発想の積み重ねが新しいアイデアにつながるのよ。まあそれはわかるんだけどね。一つ思いついたらすぐに報告ってのもなんか頭悪いかなって。
maybe think of a better way to do it.
だったらもう一つアイデアを用意したら？例えばそうね、あまり現実味はないけれど発想の一つとしてデジタル通信の可能性とかはどうかしら？
Digital communication.
デジタル通信？例えばそう、森に行ってこう長い木の枝を何本も集めてそれを縦に連結していけば理論上は何百メートルだろうと長い棒が作れるでしょ。その長い棒の一端を私たちが掴んで右に回転させれば0、左に回転させれば1とすれば二進法のデジタル信号が送れるでしょ。なんかカズキにしては割とバカっぽいアイデアだよね、それ。そうかしら。質量はともかく重量の制限を受けない宇宙空間でならタイムラグのない超長距離高速通信に応用できそうなネタだと思うけど、ダメ？
That, you know, in certain circumstances, I agree, Kazuki.
ダメっていうか、宇宙って、なんだろうな。やっぱなんとかと天才って紙一重なんだね。今思い知った感じ。
Paper thin indeed.
だから発想の元というか、あくまでも着眼点の一つとして報告してみてはどうかしらというプロポーズなのだけれど。
Yeah, think about a way to make it possible.
まあそうね。そういう考え方もあるって感じで報告してみるけど、バカだと思われたら嫌だな。あなた、それは私に対して何気に失礼よ。
After that, I offered the captain my second idea and received a fairly positive evaluation of worth looking into. I did give a half-hearted mention of the possibility of digital communication as well, but as anticipated, the captain's reaction was unenthusiastic. The concept clearly didn't quite click with her either. I was left with a vague permission for experiments within the range of common sense. Well, the proposed experiment just involved gathering long sticks and trying to bind them together, so at least failure wouldn't be a complete waste of effort. We'd have secured ourselves a supply of firewood, if nothing else. In other words, examining the ruins of the bust and seeing if the horn was still functional. Oh no, that said, the first priority was looking into the more realistic possibility of communication through sound. In other words, examining the ruins of the bust and seeing if the horn was still functional. Almost missed that. As a matter of fact, I had a bit of knowledge about motor vehicles. I'd liked cars ever since I was a young child. Back in the day, I loved tagging along with my dad to the market every morning in our mini truck. I guess my somewhat tomboyish fascination with cars amused my dad. He used to let me sit on his lap and drive around and around the place for the fun of it. Of course, I got a little old for that, but I never lost my curiosity about automobiles. Picked up a bit of knowledge about how they function. Crawling through the broken rear window, I made my way into the overturned bus once again. Inside, the smell of leaking fuel had grown noticeably thicker in the air. After slowly and carefully making my way the length of the bus, I reached the driver's seat to find the key still seated in the ignition. The cylinder had been firmly turned to the off position. Come to think of it, that was my doing. When I dragged Mr. Ochi from the driver's seat, found the eerie glow of the dashboard backlight so creepy that I immediately switched it off. Clutching the key tightly, I said a small prayer to no one in particular, then twisted it to on. The dashboard sprung immediately to life, and I heard the distinct stirring of the fuel pump motor. Apparently, the battery was still alive. Must have been a dry cell. The vehicle sideways like this, the liquid electrolytes would have leaked out of a wet battery. Very true. I was tempted to keep turning the key to start, but the engine was probably a lost cause. I'd just be wasting precious battery juice in the attempt. First off, I was here to test whether the horn was operational. I gave the center of the steering wheel a light push with the palm of my hand, and a surprisingly loud blast of sound rang through the air. Oh snap. The sudden sound, everyone in the valley turned as one to stare in my direction. For the moment, I confirmed the horn was operational. Now we had to consider how to make effective use of it. Just blasting away aimlessly would run down the battery quickly, so it seemed necessary to discuss how and when we would utilize it. Turning the ignition back off for now, I cautiously made my way back out of the bus. Sweet.
そうだね。あとはどのタイミングで鳴らすかってのが問題かな。いくら鳴らしてもそれを聞きつけて救助を呼んでくれる人がそばにいなければまるで意味がないし。
Do you know the area well enough to know the traffic routes? Because that would help.
まずは音という要素を一つ確保したというところで満足するべきね。それをそのまま使うのか、それとも他の何かと組み合わせて使うのか、その辺は今後考えていきましょう。
Ooh. I turned around and looked up in the direction of the road. At a guess, it was perhaps 200 meters distant from the bottom of the ravine we were trapped in. The sound of our horn would probably carry that far. But how were we supposed to know someone was up there at any given moment? That was the biggest problem with this idea. From that distance, a car could be rumbling fairly noisily down the road and we likely wouldn't notice. I couldn't immediately think of anything other than the passive strategy of honking the horn at regular intervals in the hope of a coincidence.
捜索隊のヘリでも飛んできてくれれば分かりやすいんだけどな。
Make your own signal and honk at the same time?
ヘリコプターだと逆に自分の出す音が大きすぎてこちらの出す音に気がつかないんじゃないかしら。
Yeah.
そうか。
That's true.
あ、音がダメなら光は？ヘッドライトを取り外して空に向けて点灯してみたらどうかな。
What night?
いいアイデアだとは思うけど。
Turning back and following Kazuki's gaze, I quickly discovered why she trailed off mid-sentence. After tumbling down a slope 200 meters in length, finally plunged into a pit-like valley, the bus resembled a gigantic piece of gum chewed up and spat out by a dinosaur. The roof was caved in, the windows were all broken, and the headlights and turn signals were no exception to the general rule. Everyone was smashed beyond repair. A no-go.
室内灯とか テールランプの一つも生き残っていれば何かの役に立つかもしれないし、調べてみましょう。そうだね。
Serious story happening, guys. Day 2. Kazuki and I divided the job of searching the wreckage of the bus for potentially useful items, but the noticeably important things had already been carried out. The only new discoveries were a few discarded magazines and a slightly dirty blanket that had been used as a cushioning in the luggage compartment, as well as a small metal box containing a bare handful of tools and a single fire extinguisher, probably designed for use against vehicle fires. Nothing to write home about, in other words. I had tried to go in without much in the way of expectations, but there was definitely a part of me clinging to the faint hope of discovering something. An armful of canned food in some unexplored nook of the luggage compartment would have sent me back to camp jumping for joy. When that hope was dashed, the disappointment hit me much harder than I expected.
Ne Kazuki, 私たちどうなるのかな?
Let's survive.
その質問、今日だけで4回目よ。そして私は毎回同じ答えを口にしている。なるようにしかならないし、なんとでもなるから今はただ希望を捨てずにできることをしなさい。だよね。分かってはいるんだけど、どうしてもね。
Yo, welcome, Casarola. Welcome. For now, we simply do what we can. In those words, there was a slight glimmer of optimism. The suggestion that at some undefined later we would escape. That vague hope was too slippery to cling on to. I couldn't see anything but overwhelming unpredictable reality. The anxiety and uncertainty was almost too much to bear. Felt as though someone had suddenly dropped an enormous whale in front of me and told me to fillet it with a single fruit knife. Oh, you're a little bit late, Casarola, but no, not to worry. It happens. Hour-ish. We are having serious live stream though, because we're in this flashback. Holding back tears, I was thrusting my tiny blade into thick, unyielding blubber, tormented by a sense of futility, doubtful I was accomplishing anything at all. Just waiting for someone to tell me it's impossible, just give up. In such a situation, I couldn't help but sink into pessimism and passivity. Is help coming? When will they arrive? What if they never find us? Can we possibly escape on our own? Can we possibly survive this? I knew full well that anguishing over such unanswerable questions accomplished nothing. Before I realized it, they were oozing out from the dark corners of my mind. And is this another one of those involuntary psychological defense mechanisms designed to push us through life? When I asked Kazuki, she shook her head and told me flat out, no, that's probably just your personality. During the time we spent in the bus, Kanada and Komori apparently completed their kite. Everyone left their personal projects behind for a while and gathered to watch the launch. The string they used was a slender fishing line taken from the tackle box. Its tensile strength was a point of concern, so it was decided to run an initial test flight without the cell phone attached. The length of the line was about 100 meters. Leaving aside the cell phone part of the plan, if we could get it up that high, someone might notice it from the road. But as it turned out, well, reality isn't quite convenient. It was, after all, a kite made by a bunch of amateurs from a rough visual memory. There wasn't any realistic chance it soared beautifully into the sky. After many failed launches, the makeshift kite ended up crashing to the ground and falling to pieces. To be perfectly honest, everyone gathered there had been more or less expecting as much from the start. Even the girls who constructed it. The failure didn't inspire any wailing or gnashing of teeth. Really? Like, it didn't? Even if it had floated up perfectly, there was still the lid of trees hanging thickly over this valley. Weaving even a well-constructed kite up through the gaps in the canopy without tangling it hopelessly in the branches would clearly have been very difficult. Yeah, professional kite flyers do it though. Even so, Kaneda and Komori said they'd give it another shot and merely began repairing their broken kite. But apparently the general feeling was that nothing more was going to come of this. Everyone left them alone with their mangled construction and headed back to their own stations. In the end, Kaneda and Komori never did succeed in getting the kite into the sky, and later that day Mr. Ochi told me that it probably wouldn't have achieved much anyway. We were geographically quite close to the town Mr. Ochi had been born and raised in, and from what he said, cell phone reception in the whole area was notoriously awful. What's more, take a look at a map, and there's a nicely paved national highway running straight through this region, but we'd fallen while driving down an old back road. Apparently it was in frequent use when Mr. Ochi was a student here. But nowadays, almost no one takes it without some specific and compelling reason. He chose it as a detour, concerned about traffic on the highway heading home. Unfortunately, the entrance to the road was narrow and inconspicuous. Because of the poor conditions of the surface, it was sealed off every time heavy rain fell. As a result, the traffic was extremely light. Ooh. Well, time to try and burn the forest down. What would you do in Breath of the Wild? Burn it down, collect your spoils. What? In the first place, we wouldn't have plunged off the road if there had been a proper guardrail on that tight curve. Even if we got a cell phone well above the cliff, there's a good chance it wouldn't pick up a signal. I thought we should probably pass on this information to Kaneda and Komori, who were even then absorbed in repairing their almost certainly useless kite. When I suggested as much, however, Kazuki frowned and told me to let it be. Rather than wasting effort on a losing bet, wouldn't it be more effective to have them trying out something else? In response to that question, Kazuki smirked slightly, cocked her head slightly to the side, and asked if I was willing to hear out a bit of complicated stuff. That lightly mocking body language of hers was getting on my nerves, but I agreed to listen, after stressing my request for the clear and concise version, of course.
私たちがここに来てまだ2日目よ。今はまだ拡散期です。つまり、今は多くの無駄を重ねて加減を学ぶ時期なの。放っておいても、そのうち勝手に学んで無駄をしなくなるわよ。
I mean, that's fair. You learn from your mistakes. To summarize, we're newborn infants relative to this environment. We need to be allowed to wail, wriggle around aimlessly, and pop things into our mouths. Otherwise, our maturation process would be crippled, apparently. I sort of understood what Kazuki was getting at, but when I thought about how those two would feel when they discovered their hard work had been in vain, I couldn't help wanting to let them know. Turning my back on Kazuki, I walked over to Kaneda-senpai. She was perched on a moderately sized rock, her brow furrowed with earnest concentration as she tried to untangle a complex clump of fishing line.
あ？まあ、知ってたよ。
Kaneda received my hesitant advice with unexpected composure.
佐久間先輩からそんな話は聞いてたしね。佐久間先輩から？
I turned around to face the person in question, still tirelessly flinging her battered cell phone high into the air a few meters away.
どういうことです？
ああ、実は上の道路にいた時から県外だってのは分かってたんだ。
Yep. Slightly before the bus plunged off the cliff, Sakuma had casually opened her cell phone to check the time and noticed the words "no signal" in the corner of the screen. She even remembered worrying idly about how we would call the police if we got in an accident out there.
じゃあ、電波が入らないことを知っていて、それでも携帯を投げ続けていたってことですか？
まあ、そうなるかな。でも、絶対に入らないと決まったわけじゃないし、たまたま私の携帯が県外だっただけで、他の携帯、他のキャリアなら入るかもしれないだろ？
I mean, you know, it might be insanity to try to do the same thing over and over again, but hope and possibility drive people mad. Wait, what? I should have said something more positive there, but I didn't. I apologize, guys. Anyway, for that reason, she decided to try borrowing Ibuki's phone, a different model on a different network, and tossing it instead. But Ibuki said if anyone was going to throw her cell phone around, it was going to be her. In the end, the two of them ended up out here, tossing and picking up their phones together.
結局のところ、伊吹の携帯でもダメっぽいんだけど、ほら、私はこんな性格だからさ。無駄だって頭じゃ分かっていても、体を動かしてないと落ち着かないんだ。そういう勝負なんだよ。
Yeah, I mean, you have to keep your nerves about you. Thinking back, Sakuma had approached basketball with a similar mindset. No matter how overwhelming our opponent in the next match, she would practice diligently. Even knowing we would lose, even when she was the only one left in the gym, she'd keep right on going.
バスケの試合にしたってそうだけど、やれることはあったのにっていう後悔が一番悔しいと私は思うんだ。
How many dead do we have? 3 still.
どうせ負けるにしろ、やるだけのことをやった上での敗北なら、勝利はなくても満足は得られるし、その次につながるだろ。
That's fair. Words very typical of Sakuma, well known in our team for her silent dedication. She stood out for her skill, but had apparently removed herself from consideration for the captaincy, preferring to avoid placing herself above the others. However, there was one person whose mood took a rapid, obvious turn for the sour at this little speech, her roommate in the dorm and partner in the Valley, Ibuki.
私はクマ先輩のそういう無駄に暑苦しいところとか苦手です。それに、電波が入らないって話、 私は聞いてませんよ。
Aw. See you, Shade. Stop dying, people. Ibuki had been drafted into this exercise in futility without her knowledge. Judging from the way she was biting her lower lip and squeezing her cell phone tightly in her hands, she wasn't happy about it. Well, yeah, like, you know, I guess it sucks. But do you really have anything else you could do? Not really. The girl had a tendency to complain fairly easily, a trait that often left her somewhat isolated from the group in both the classroom and on the team.
あれ？言ってなかったっけ？そういう大雑把で忘れっぽいところも嫌いです。
Man, she's laying it all. She's getting all. She's airing all her grievances right now, guys.
悪かったよ、ブッキー。
With those words, Sakuma casually slipped her hand around Ibuki's waist, drew the young girl close, and rested her chin on top of Ibuki's head.
ブッキーって呼ばないでください。
Oh, is Sakuma like, is Ibuki the type that goes, oh, I hate my senpai, but actually like her because she's tsundere? Pouting, Ibuki mumbled that even her classmates had started to pick up that stupid nickname. Apparently, even seemingly mismatched individuals could develop some fairly intimate bonds, given enough time together. Staring at the two of them, I entertained some idle speculation about which one would be wearing the pants, not even noticing my cheeks growing hot. Apparently, my trivial delusions were showing pretty clearly on my face as Sakuma gave me a broad, almost boastful grin.
だから言っただろう。君たちが思っているほど私たちは仲が悪いわけじゃないってさ。
Amane's like, sorry, I was thinking perverted thoughts.
君の相方はどうした？あの風見って子は放っておくとへそを曲げてすね始めるタイプだと思うよ。
Maybe.
まさかあの和樹ですよ。
Kazumi Kazuki didn't need anyone's attention. To her, I was nothing but a personal chef, a convenient servant girl, and an occasional object of amusement. And if Kazuki really needed to, I was pretty sure she could pick up cooking quickly enough. Given her a while, and she'd probably be good enough to leave me very nearly worthless.
わかっちゃいないね。全然だよ、スオーアマネ。だったら君はどうしてあの風見和樹とのペアを選んだんだい？
それは
Pick her. I didn't really have a choice in the matter. As for why things turned out that way, it was probably because we both realized I was the only person on the team capable of putting up with that fiercely unique personality of hers.
じゃあさ、風見に同じ質問をされたとき、こう答えてみればいいよ。
As Sakuma leaned over to whisper in my ear, I caught a strong whiff of the refreshing citrusy scent of her body. The way her breath tickled my ear as she spoke didn't help either. I froze stiff as a statue, unable to really focus on processing the meaning of her words.
それでバッチリ。風見が君のことをどう思っているか、はっきりとわかると思うよ。
Oh man, I wonder what she said.
でも、強い言葉だから、あまり頻発しない方がいいと思うな。それが私からのアドバイス。
What? Oh, these are the words of power?
はあ、さようで。
I didn't really get it. To be honest, it felt like the most likely outcome would be Kazuki laughing in my face. Then again, it probably couldn't really hurt to give it a shot sometime if I happened to remember.
ほら、お姫様がへそを曲げる前に戻りなよ。
Cranky.
お姫様ね。
Not that I found Sakuma's theory particularly convincing, but I did decide to head back in search of Kazuki. However, her shoes weren't in front of our tent. I took a quick look inside anyway, but there was no sign of her. What's this? Where'd she get to now? Well, Sakuma may not have been too far off the mark. Leaving Kazuki unattended for too long didn't seem to be the best idea, considering this habit of casually strolling off without a word. Don't tell me she wandered off into the forest again. Maybe she was actually doing this on purpose, waiting for me to come looking for her? No, I was definitely reading too much into this now. That said, there was no reason to think Kazumi was coming back anytime soon, and considering that blunt personality of hers, the longer I left her to her own devices, the more likely she'd end up quarreling and causing us trouble. After heaving a little sigh and mumbling a few complaints about my nuisance of a partner, I ended up trotting off in search for her like the hopeless soft touch I was. As it turned out, though, my search wasn't a particularly arduous one. Katsuki's whereabouts come to light within 2 minutes. I discovered her shoes lying nearly side by side in front of the largest structure in our camp, the conspicuous 6-person tent.
Kazuki, いるの?
When dealing with the tent, knocking isn't exactly an option, so I hesitantly called out to her through the door.
いるわ。入っていらっしゃいな。
Ooh, inside the tent. As instructed, I removed my shoes and crawled into the tent. The interior was dimly lit, muggy and filled with the overpowering stench of its disinfectant and sweat. Let out a small, reflexive groan of dismay.
どうだった?電波の話。金田さんたちに伝えた?
Even as Katsuki spoke, she was applying disinfectant to Sakurai's wounded stomach. Maybe the gloomy lighting had something to do with it, but the gash across Sakurai's abdomen and the rough fishing line stitches holding it shut seemed all the more gruesome today, to the point I could barely stand to look at it.
悪いけど、手すきのようなら、広岡さんの額のタオルを変えてあげてもらえる?わかった。
I turned to the other side of the tent as requested. Hiroka-san was lying nearly with a damp towel on her forehead, repeating long, deep breaths. Her eyes were squeezed tightly shut. It was obvious at a glance that she was still suffering from the fever brought on by breaking both her legs. The howls and moans which had continued throughout the night had gone quiet that morning, so I assumed her condition had improved. But it was clear to me now that she simply lost the physical strength to scream.
Hiroka-san, 大丈夫?
She's probably gonna be like, nope. Anyone with a set of functional eyes could tell in a second that she wasn't remotely alright. I couldn't find anything else to say. When I took the towel from her forehead, it was burning with such heat that it could have been resting on a hot iron plate. She was drawing regular, repeated breaths, but there was no response whatsoever to my question. Although she seemed to be awake, she didn't seem fully conscious of her surroundings. Soaking the hot towel in a plastic bag filled with cold water, I gave it a very light squeeze and replaced it on Hiroka-san's forehead. Oh, it doesn't even know that's Amane.
私じゃないわ。今あなたを見ているのはスオアマネよ。ありがとう、スオさん。そう、意識をしっかりね。呼吸のタイミングを忘れないように。
Oh, Katsuki's trying to keep her alive, even if it's impossible.
ごめんね。いいのよ。
Katsuki kept up her conversation with Hiroka-san without even turning around. In that moment, watching the silhouette of her back in that dim tent was strangely reassuring to me. There was something strong, almost dignified about her just then, as though she were some famous physician, utterly confident in her role. Having completed her disinfection of Sakurai's wound, Katsuki began to quickly wind the bandages back into place, speaking in an ice-cold voice as she worked.
桜井さん、包帯で蒸し暑い上に縫った傷がかゆいのはわかりますが、かきむしらないでください。かゆみというのは軽微な痛みのことです。かゆいということは治癒が進んでいる証拠なのですから、どんなにかゆくても我慢してください。
Yeah, you don't want to open up wounds.
はい、ごめんなさい。
Oh, she probably did scratch at it.
どうしても我慢できないときは呼んでください。その時はまた消毒します。わかりました。ありがとう。また後で様子を見に来ます。
With those words, Katsuki crawled out of the tent, signaling for me to follow. Wait, what?
包帯を洗いに行こうと思うのだけれど、私はうまく手が使えないから、あなた付き合ってもらえる?
Meth, how's it going? Don't be sick.
それは構わないけど。
A nurse who's willing to who doesn't give up on the patient no matter what the circumstances, right? Very important.
じゃあ行きましょう。
I caught a quick glimpse of long strips of cloth blackened with the blood in Katsuki's hand, presumably Sakurai's old bandages, but the next moment she turned her back on me and abruptly began to walk off. What was this? She seemed to be in something of a bad mood. Unfortunately, it was a little difficult to tell for sure in Katsuki's case, as she was more than a bit brusque at the best of times.
広岡さんと桜井さんの状態はどうなのか。それが聞きたいんじゃなくて。
Oh.
うん。できれば彼女たちには聞かれたくないの。移動しながら話しましょう。分かった。
Well, that explained the sudden exit. Kazuki's estimate of the medical situation wasn't as pessimistic as I had feared. Sakurai's abdominal lacerations was apparently healing relatively steadily. The larger problem was Hiroka-san and her fractured legs. Although Kazuki had straightened her legs, pulled the bones into place and fixed them with the makeshift splints, the blazing fever that accompanied the injury showed no sign of receding. Hiroka-san wasn't exactly what you call robust or sturdy to begin with. At present, she'd weakened to the point that her body was incapable of accepting the nourishment it needed to heal. They tried to feed her a light soup, even crushing the small chunks of potato with a spoon to make them easier to swallow. After swallowing a mere 3 mouthfuls, she insisted she was completely full. And continuing to feed her regardless only resulted in her vomiting back the entire meal. Which is probably painful.
それでも安静にしていれば少しずつ回復に向かうとは思うけれど。難しいわね。
Yeah, because their bodies went crazy.
時間がかかるってこと？それもあるけれど。薬が絶対的に足りないわ。
What? No medicine? Our only source of medical supplies was a single first aid kit we kept on hand to treat scrapes during practice. Although we were well stocked in band-aids, disinfectants, and pain-relieving patches, we lacked antibiotics to prevent lacerations from festering, and drugs to bring down the agonizing inflammation caused by bone fracture. Guys! Real talk here. If you ever go camping or something, bottle of ibuprofen. Bottle of aspirin. Just in case. You never know when you'll need it. Bottle of ibuprofen. Bottle of aspirin. And if you live in America, you can't buy antibiotics without a prescription, so you might not be able to bring those. But something to help with inflammation and pain relief, ibuprofen is pretty good for that. Aspirin, you never know. Never know.
彼女たちは自分たちが集団の中で負担になっていることを気にしているわ。
I mean that, you know, it's a blow to self-esteem when you're literally the short end of the stick on when you're literally the injured party in the group, yeah.
わざとらしく優しく接すると彼女たちの自責に拍車をかけかねないから、できるだけ自然に接してあげた方がいいわ。
Amane's getting it. Slam it down with a monster medal? What? And that would explain why she seemed oddly impassive back there, I guess. Well, I have to admit, it would probably be exceptionally creepy to have Kazumi and Kazuki of all people treating you with tender compassion. Wow.
それで、あなたの方はどうだったの？携帯電話の電波が入らない可能性があることを金田、小森のペアに伝えに行ったのでしょ？彼女たちそのことを知っていたみたい。そう。無駄かもしれないと分かっていても他に何もすることがないし可能性もゼロじゃないからって。
It's not zero, man. It still counts.
それと佐久間先輩からの新情報だけど上の道路でも携帯は圏外だったみたい。先生も先輩もなんでもっと早く言ってくれなかったのかな。電波の入りが悪かったのは先生が学生の頃の話だから今は改善されている可能性もあるという希望を残しておきたかったのかもしれないわね。それにこんな状況でしょ。先生としてもなるべくネガティブな意見は口にしたくなかったんじゃないかしら。
Yeah, it sucks to be negative.
気持ちはわかるけどそういう情報って早めに出し合った方がいいと思うな。それに変にペアなんか組まずにみんなで一丸になって情報を出し合ったり仕事を分散した方が効率がいいと思うけど。
Oh. Yeah, 1% is still more than zero. Even a 0.0000001% is more than zero. That's what they're holding on to. So long as hope, or in this case, so long as possibility exists, they won't give up hope. Or they might, I don't know. Like, people get word down over time. This whole idea of dividing ourselves into pairs that would operate independently has been Kazuki's suggestion. It's true that the difficulty of keeping everyone supervised would dramatically reduce under this system, since everyone would naturally be keeping an eye on their partner, but that was pretty much the only benefit I could see. Everyone cooperating seemed more likely to produce good ideas, and felt like operating in one large group would reduce the weight any given individual was carrying on their shoulders. That is true, but at the same time, you have to consider the possibility that not everyone will be willing to contribute to the group.
それがそうでもないのよね。意見の数が増えるだけではまとまりに欠けるし、負担が減りすぎる個体が出てくるのもまた問題なのよ。どういうこと？負担が減りすぎる？あまね、あなた働きアリの法則って知ってる？
Worker and principle.
知らない。何それ？アリ？
Oh, she doesn't know. Okay.
話すと長いから選択しながら説明しましょう。
Apparently, Kazuki had pushed up to adopt this pair system, with all of its seemingly drawbacks, in an attempt to avoid a specific organizational problem known as the worker ant principle. It was obvious she was fully prepared to give me another headache-inducing lecture, so I asked her to give me the short version, which went something like this. Within any relatively organized group, the appearance of individuals who toil diligently at their jobs tends to be counteracted by others beginning to neglect their work. For example, in ant society. Inside a colony, an organization operating under the leadership of a queen ant, there are apparently not only the familiar worker ants, but also a sizable population of slacker ants that spend most of their time wandering around aimlessly. If you pick out all the hard-working ants who take their duties seriously and place them in a brand new colony, a fairly consistent percentage will lose their previous enthusiasm and transform into slackers. And back in the old nest, where all the hard worker ants have suddenly vanished, a good chunk of slacker ants will soon begin throwing themselves vigorously into their work. It's apparently a well-observed phenomenon, yes. This principle isn't limited to ants alone. It applies to human societies as well. This natural tendency to lean heavily on the overachievers makes efficiently managing an organization in the long term much more difficult than one might imagine. By dividing us into pairs, the colony was decentralized. Everyone was essentially forced to help their partner, making it harder to coast along as a slacker. On top of which, it would be possible to encourage competition between the small groups, producing a meteoric rise in net productivity per capita or something. I did more or less understand what she was trying to say, but to be perfectly honest, I couldn't shake the feeling she was just definitely pulling the wool over my eyes.
つまり、ちゃんとした意味があってペア制度を採用しているってこと？そういうこと。今はそのメリットをあまり感じ取れないかもしれないけれど、そうね。例えば集団の中で喧嘩が発生した時とか、その意味が見えてくると思うわ。
Yeah, and that's actually very important in like different structures and systems. The idea that if like one group becomes belligerent, like a small group, other groups can control that group. But if you have one large group and if it becomes dysfunctional, the entire group is dysfunctional. So like if a pair becomes dysfunctional, you have other pairs that can step in and be like, hey, listen, you know, we're here in this together. And yeah, that's a very important thing. Like it's all about maintaining proper systems and control and things like that and order. You know, realistically, I'm not too confident that many of these guys, if any, will really escape the Amane. So at least keep the peace until everyone's gone.
よくわからないけど、和樹がそういうのならそうなんでしょうね。なんだかそれあまり好きではない言いようだわ。言いたいことや不満があれば遠慮なく言いなさいと言ったでしょ。ごめん、別に不満とか思ってないし、ただ和樹の言うことなら間違いないかなって、そういう意味で言っただけだよ。あなたは私の奴隷ではなくお友達でしょ。それともそんな風に思っているのは私だけ？怒らないでよ。別に皮肉を言ったつもりもないんだし。もしあなたが私とのペアに不満があるのなら、 他のこと変わってくれても構わないのよ。あ、その言い草こそ傷つくな。あなたこそ別に私じゃなくても便利な女なら誰でもいいのね。
But Castrol, I do agree. If it isn't 0, then it's 100%. Yes. If it's not impossible, then it's if it's not impossible, then it is possible.
そうは言っていないでしょ。そう聞こえたもの。あなたこそ私とのペアに不満を。
All of a sudden, the word Sakuma had whispered into my ears popped vividly into my mind.
何？あって。だいたいあなた、どうして私とのペアなんて受け入れたの？それはね、和樹のことが一番好きだからだよ。
Oh snap.
はい。
Oh snap! Caught her off guard.
だからこのメンバーの中で私は和樹のことが一番好きだからあなたとペアを組んだの。そう。和樹は私のこと好き？包帯を洗わなきゃ。和樹？
Huh? What? Was this really happening? Kazumi Kazuki flustered with embarrassment. And they're playing the silly music! Yay! Amazing, Sakuma Senpai. Really worked. I'll give it a testimonial for your infomercial.
ねえ、和樹、私のこと好きなんでしょ？それも大好きなのね。
Get her! Get her!
うるさい。私は今忙しいのよ。くだらないことを話している暇があったら手伝ってほしいのだけれど。あ、ごまかした。図星なのね。
Bullseye.
図星とかそういう、どうしてそんな言い方をするの？言わなくてもわかることでしょ。和樹。
Watch out, Amane's coming. She was so ridiculously adorable that I just couldn't help myself. Sneaking up behind Kazuki, I gently rested my hand on her shoulder, then leaned forward and nuzzled my nose against the back of her head. The hysterical little shriek that could only be described as alarmingly out of character, Kazumi Kazuki jerked forward, lost her balance, and pitched face first into the marshy stream.
あなた、自分には同性愛の趣味はないって言ってなかったかしら？いや、ないけどさ。でも今はそれも悪くないかなってちょっと思ってる。そう、あなたとなら。
If it's with you. Metal, Amane is pulling a smooth one on Kazuki. That's right. Amane is in control.
うかつだったわ。いい？あなたが今感じているその感情は吊り橋効果で説明ができます。落ち着いて、もう一度自分の中の感情を整理してみましょう。
Looks like Kazuki's the one that's going completely flustered too.
服濡れちゃったね。脱がしてあげる。いや、落ち着いて、そこは動かないで。それ以上近づいたら悲鳴をあげるわよ。ごめん、冗談だってば。冗談。
Oh, the serious music's back.
だから私にそっちの趣味なんて本当にないから安心して。ほら、いつまでも冷たい水の中に座ってると風邪ひいちゃうよ。ほら、手を出して。
Ignoring Kazuki's bitter scowl, I offered my hand, which she accepted with a great show of reluctance.
ひどい目にあったわ。だからごめんって、冗談が過ぎたよ。あなたの冗談は笑えないわ。おお、和樹の口からそんなセリフが聞ける日が来るとは長生きはするもんだよね。
Oh snap.
言ってなさい。私をいじめると夜中にお化けが来るんだから。やめてよ。夜おトイレに行けなくなっちゃうじゃない。 そもそもここにはトイレなんてないわよ。機嫌直してよね。さっきのは確かに冗談だけど、私が和樹のことを好きだっていうのは本当だから。どうせ誰か悪い先輩にでもそう言えって入れ知恵されたのでしょ。いいからさっさと洗濯を済ませてしまいましょう。もうそういうこと言う子は可愛くないぞ、和樹。
Oh, snap. Hey, how's it going, Tom? Stopped watching anime to watch anime, and speaking of that, hi anime. Yes. Animeception? No, more like, yo, dog, here like anime, so I stopped watching anime to watch anime. Because, I need to watch anime instead of watching anime. Wait, what?
生まれてこの方可愛いなんて母親にも言われたことなんてないわ。あ、ちょっと和樹、制服は脱がないでいいの？大丈夫よ、夏だしすぐに乾くわ。
Oh, too much umu. That's fair.
胸が小さくても笑ったりしないよ。
Oh, Amane flaunting.
どうしてあなたはそういうことを平気で言うの？なんだかあなた最初の頃とずいぶんキャラクターが変わってきていない？
I'm sorry, Kazuki, but this is how Amane is gonna be in the future. Don't question it.
もともと私はこういうキャラだし、あなたという存在に慣れてきたってことじゃないかな。
Hey. Mikon.
そうやって私をおもちゃにしてればいいのよ。いつか罰が当たるんだから。って何、どうしたの？犬？
Hey, the dog. They finally remembered. What you miss, King? Amane pulling a smooth one on Kazuki. Looked down to find a toy breed dog at Kazuki's feet, rubbing its face up against her legs and snuffling in evident curiosity.
これって小森さんの飼っている犬？
Oh, snap.
そうみたいね。何？和樹って犬が苦手なの？そうじゃないけど、急に茂みの中から飛び出してきたからびっくりしたわ。飼い主は？小森さんはいないの？この子一人でここまで来たのかな？
That's a good question.
そうみたいね。喉が渇いているみたいだから水の匂いをたどってここまで来たのかもしれない。そっか。じゃあちょっと待ってて。今お水汲んであげる。
Oh.
やめた方がいいわ。どうして？この手の品種改良が施された小型犬は内臓が弱いことがあるし、飼い主の許可なく生水はあげない方がいいわよ。あ、そうなんだ。でも私、昨日からここのお水ガブガブ飲んでるけど全然平気だよ。
It's probably because you're tougher than most, Amane.
あなたは見るからに健康だし、生水ぐらい全然平気だと思うけれど、この子は見るからに繊細そうだから、一度煮沸してから飲ませた方がいいんじゃないかしら。その言葉、何気に傷つくぞ。
Hey, you're just healthy, Amane. Don't worry.
キャンプに戻れば煮沸済みのお水があるから、それをあげましょう。我慢できる？
Although I almost certainly didn't have the first clue what Kazuki's words meant, the little dog responded with a high-pitched bark and began wagging its tail happily.
そう、いい子ね。嘘、和樹って犬と会話するキャラ？あのね、私だって一応そういう女の子らしい一面だってあるわよ。まあ、わかるような気もする。
Kazuki did seem likely to turn to one of those hard-working career women, the hard-ass middle manager in a pantsuit who ends up blazing right through past marriageable age without sparing the time for men. And this was exactly the sort of dog she'd be keeping in her apartment to help distract her from the loneliness of her existence. Working like a maniac during the day, chewing out her male underlings at every opportunity, earning the intimidated awe of the other women, getting herself the ignominious title of Tyrant Queen of the Office. Kazuki loves Amane. Probably true. Then rushing home to her apartment at night, greeting the fluffy ball of fur waiting at the front door with a sugary "Mommy's home, poopsie" or something. Then proceeding to pamper it with gourmet meals, maybe even dressing it up in little sweaters, and keeping up a simpering stream of baby talk all the while.
今私あなたのリアルな未来を少しだけ想像してちょっと涙が出そうになったわ。
The lesbian is strong in this one.
そう、一体どんな未来を想像したのか詳しく聞いてみたい気もするけれど、聞かない方が心の健康には良さそうね。とりあえず包帯も洗い終わったし戻りましょうか。この子も飼い主のところに連れて行かないといけないし。
Very true. With those words, Kazuki bent down and scooped up the dog playing at her feet with into her arms.
あ、カズキ片手じゃ大変でしょ。ワンちゃん私が預かるよ。
She's like, nah, take the bandages.
そう、じゃあお願い。
Oh, no, never mind.
あれ、なんか嫌がってる？ほらワンちゃん、こっちおいで。どうしたの？あまね、あなた犬に嫌われるタイプ？
I don't know, Yuji likes her just fine in the future. Wait, what?
おかしいな。そんなことないと思うんだけど。っていうか、逆にカズキはどうしてそんなにその子に懐かれてるの？前からお友達？いいえ、小森さんが犬を飼っているのは知っていたけど、見たのは初めてだし、名前だって知らないわ。
Komori's love for dogs was well known among the team members, and I heard about her puppy, but this was my first time seeing it as well. Komori had been so anxious and lonely at the prospect of being separated from her dog during the sleepaway training camp that she ended up smuggling it in with her. At the planning meeting before the trip, she timidly tried to ask the captain for official permission to take her pet along as a companion, but naturally the answer was a curt, "School trips are not your personal vacation." But Komori simply couldn't bring herself to leave the puppy behind. In the end, she decided to hide the animal in her sports bag, then apologized once she arrived at the campground and the deal was done.
この犬なんて種類だっけ？マルチーズ？シーズでしょ？あなた小型犬は何でもマルチーズに見えるの？だって小型犬なんてマルチーズかチワワぐらいしか知らないもの。あとトイプードル？どうでもいいからこの子を受け取ってよ。結構重いわ。いや、わかってるんだけどね。
I reached out towards it. The tiny dog bared its fangs and gave a sharp bark of warning.
なんかむっちゃ嫌われてるんですけど、なんで？何か悪いことでもしたの？この子の餌を盗み食いしたとか。カズキ、あんたもしかして私を食いしん坊キャラにしようとしているの？
If anything, dogs tended to like me, and I didn't remember mistreating this animal in the 5 minutes I'd known it. It almost felt like, rather than having a problem with me in particular, the dog just didn't want to be carried by anyone other than Kazuki.
もしかしてこの子、カズキのことを群れのボスだと思ってるんじゃない？
You're the boss.
はい？ああ、犬は飼われている家の中でボスを決めるっていうあれのこと？うん、そう。多分だけど、この子は群れのボスを本能で嗅ぎ分けてるんじゃないかな。
You're the boss.
それがどうして私なの？私より偉そうな人間なんて他にもいるでしょうに。それ素で言ってるからカズキってすごいよね。何が？
That dog seemed to have recognized Kazuki as the alpha of the pack, not the captain, not our teacher. Titles don't mean much to an animal, but they're sensitive to confidence, pride, and bossiness. To be honest, I don't think there were many people who could compete with Kazuki on any of those fronts.
とにかくこの犬は私が連れて行けばいいのね。まったく飼い主は何をしているのかしら。
In the next moment, as if to answer Kazuki's mild mutters of complaint, we heard the panicked voice of the girl in question. She probably just ran into the jungle too.
あの声、小森さんの声だよね。 もしかしてアー君ってこのチワワのこと？
Really? You can't get the breed right, Amane?
だからシーズーだってば。小森さん、こっちこっち、こっちにいるよ。うるさ、急に大きな声を出さないでよ。あ、ごめん。なんか和樹ってさ、大きな音って嫌いだよね。私はあなたと違って体も小さいし繊細なのよ。
I'm a small, delicate creature. I'm a small, delicate flower.
あのさ、その私が大雑把で無神経な女って設定やめてもらっていいかな。あーくん、アリオンならここにいるわよ。
The instant Kazuki lowered the dog to the ground, trotted up to Komori-san and jumped into her waiting arms.
よかった。急に姿が見えなくなったから心配しちゃった。
Hi, Komori.
ねえ、アリオンってその犬の名前よ。
Probably was on the name tag, right?
なんで名前知ってるの？さっきは知らないって言ってなかった？そうか。アーくんって呼び名から名前を推理したとか？
She's like, no, it's on the name tag.
首輪よ。さっき見たら首輪のプレートにアリオンって書いてあったから。
Exactly.
あ、そうなんだ。なんだ。
Oh, that's it?
あのね、いくら私でもアーくんからアリオンを推理するのは無理だと思うわよ。あまり私を超人だと思わないでね。
But you have to be a superhuman, Kazuki. You have to survive this.
なんか和樹の場合、その人の好きな数字を聞いただけでその人の人生を10年先まで言い当てそうな気もするのよね。あなた、私のことを妖怪か何かと勘違いしてない？
妖怪?
いや、さすがの私もそこまでは言ってないけどさ。
That said, if someone were to tell me they'd seen her brewing potions in the cauldron by moonlight, I don't think I would have dismissed the story out of hand.
見つけてくれてありがとう。ちょっと目を離している隙にいなくなってしまって、ずっと探していたの。
Geez, the second day is also really long.
その子、喉が渇いているみたいだけど、あなた、ちゃんとお水あげてる？でも、この子お腹が弱いから専用のお水しか飲めないし、この子のために持ってきたお水ももう残りが少なくて。
Yeah, you usually only bring like... Kazuki, you speak like I'm some sort of all-knowing girl in a visual novel. It's probably true.
もしかしてこの子にそこのお水飲ませちゃった？
Nah.
いいえ、飼い主の許可もなく勝手に生水を飲ませない方がいいと思ったから飲ませなかったわ。
Yep, that's what you totally thought.
さあ、よかった。ありがとう。気を使ってくれて。
Thanks for being careful.
いいのよ。私も犬は好きだし。可愛い子ね。男の子？
Probably.
へえ、そうなの。この子のお母さんっていうのが去年のドッグショーで国内2位になったダイアナで、お父さんが。
Crap, this seems like it's going to last a while. For the disinterested layperson, listening to the prideful boast of a dog fancier is sheer agony. Well then, how can I make my escape? Maybe I should just counterpunch and start lecturing those two about the relative merits of the TE-27 and 510 Bluebird. But as I was idly pondering these matters, from the sky above the quiet forest, usually silent but for the cries of birds and the whisper of branches, there came a soft but distinctive sound of propeller blades tearing through the air.
Kazuki! この音って？
It sounds like a helicopter!
ヘリだよ！ヘリコプターの音だ！戻ってみんなに知らせなきゃ！急ごう！
We broke into a desperate run, craning our necks to watch the sky through cracks in the trees. The sound of the helicopter's rotor blades grew louder by the second. Soon even the howling of its turboshaft engine was perceptible through the din. Knowing that it was coming closer by the moment, we couldn't help but shout pointlessly for their attention. When we reached the camp, everyone had already gathered underneath an opening in the canopy, waving their arms furiously. They shouted to the sky, "Hey, down here!" Yeah, good luck. Good luck with that. Our voices were powerless, but still we rubbed our throats raw. Some of the group was frantically gathering whatever wood and grass they could, using old magazines from the bus as kindling in an attempt to produce smoke. Others were picking up baseball-sized stones from the ground, throwing them into the sky with all their might, even knowing it was futile. This isn't enough. We need something to really announce our presence. I sprinted to the bottom of the ravine, my legs burning with exertion. Crawling into our overturned bus, I stumbled frantically down its length to the driver's seat. At my first violent twist, key caught stubbornly in the ignition and refused to turn. After a few fumble moments, I pulled the key all the way out, then jammed it firmly back in. For what seemed like an eternity, Cylinder finally moved on. Please notice. I pressed down on the horde button at the center of the steering wheel with all the strength I could muster. A grating electronic sound echoed in the air, shaking my eardrums, but all too quickly. The power blast of the horn ate away at what little charge was left in the battery. The volume decreased with every passing second. As the helicopter slowly passed overhead, the droning of its blades all but erased every other sound in the valley. Soon enough, that noise diminished into the distance and was gone. We did what we could. We tried everything. But there was no way to know if it had been enough.
ねえ、どうだった？こっちに気がついた？そんなのわかんないよ。でも右に向かって飛んでいたのに、こちらに向かって進路を変えましたよね。それってこちらの存在に気がついたってことじゃないんですか？
I give them 24 hours.
だったらなぜ飛び去ったのよ。気がついたのなら戻ってくるか、この上を旋回したりするんじゃないの？あれは
私たちを探しに来たヘリじゃなくて、どこか民間のヘリなのかもしれません。こちらに気がついたのなら無線とかで連絡を取っているかもしれないじゃないですか。
Everyone's throwing speculations out.
そうですよ。それに燃料が残り少なくて一旦戻っただけかもしれません。またすぐに戻ってくるんですよ。きっとそうです。
In that moment, we were all united in a surge of hope. It wasn't just the prospect of immediate salvation. We had spent nearly 2 full days in this place, an isolated island devoid of any hint of human presence. It was beginning to feel as though the rest of the human race might just have vanished from the earth in the instant we plunged off that cliff, and then that helicopter passed by. Even if they didn't notice us this time, another chance would come. We weren't stranded on some uncharted island. We were within eyeshot of a road that connected to normal world, where our normal lives were waiting for us. Another chance would definitely come. Everyone believed that, unquestioningly. We watched the sky until it grew dark. Evening arrived with surprising swiftness. The end, the helicopter did not return that day.
ねえ、カズキ。あのヘリって何だったのかな？
さあ、あまり詳しくはないけれど、タンデムローター機だったみたいだし、CH47 とかいうやつじゃないかしら。
いや、機種が知りたいわけじゃなくってさ。
Probably the use rate.
ああ、つまり私たちの救助に来たヘリなのか、それとも偶然通りかかった民間のヘリなのか、それが気になるのね。
まあそういうことになるのかな。
おそらく後者でしょうね。あの手のヘリを所有運用しているのは米軍か自衛隊か。どちらにせよ私たちを探しに来たヘリではなく、偶然通りかかっただけだと思うわ。
Yeah, it wasn't one of those either, Casserola. Yeah, King, what happened was, it was like an off-road that's no longer used anymore, really, except by some of the locals who know it. So, a car careening off a cliff with no guardrail, because it's tire. But at the same time, it's a road that's not used regularly. To the point of, they even close it during heavy rainfall. And, the cliff walls actually like overhang above where they are, so even if they fell and crashed, it wouldn't have the markings on a hill, because it's like it's rock. think they explained like glassification before or something like that. Or metalification, you know.
やっぱりそうなんだ。落ち込むことはないわ。またいずれこの上を通ることもあるでしょうし、その時は今度こそ無視できないようにすればいいのよ。具体的にはどうするの？
Have a constant smoke signal going.
そうね。今日あのヘリが来た時、佐久間さんがヘリに向かって石を投げていたでしょ？全然届かなかったけどね。だから次の機会までに森で木を切り倒して投石機を作りましょう。
Hit the helicopter with a catapulted rock. But King, visual damage is only noticeable if people actually use the road in question. They explained just before that there was a brand new highway constructed. So basically, unless you're a local in the area that can recognize that there's been damage and stuff like that, you're not going to even notice anything different. This is the problem that these girls are in right now.
どうせなら人が投げられないぐらい大きい岩を飛ばしてぶつけてやれば嫌でも気がつくんじゃないかしら。
They would probably come to help whether they want to or not at that point, yeah.
そんなのもし本当に当たったら墜落しちゃうんじゃん。
Depends on how big the boulder is.
好都合じゃない。撃墜すれば墜落機を捜索するために何機もヘリが来るわ。全部落としてやりましょう。
Please don't knock down the entire special defense force with like rudimentary catapults and weapons.
いや、だから落としてどうするのよ。助けてもらおうよ。それが私のスパルタ式ジョークってやつよ。
Slingshot the dog. That'd be a terrible idea as well.
うふふじゃねえよ。
Take your tee-hee-hee and shove it. Not funny, Katsuki. You're one to complain about my jokes being in bad taste. When I closed my eyes for a moment in exasperation, my head drooped to the side. My body was urging me to collapse. That was more than enough for tonight. Tomorrow would probably be another brutally hot day. But for the moment, the night breeze was chilly against my skin. Following Kazuki into our tent, I wrapped myself tightly in my sleeping bag, within minutes sunk like a stone into oblivion. Dawn of the third day. Wow. Took 2 hours. 2 hours to get through day 2. I hope we're not going through every single day. I hope they fast forward us at some point, but I'm kind of worried. Oh man, do I continue? That's the real question. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I mean, if these are gonna take this long anyway, I might as well go a little bit farther. 24 hours remain. All right, let's go a little bit further. I know it's 9 o'clock my time, but you know we'll take it a little bit longer, just to get through a little bit more. The third day in the valley. Actually, Casper, we have no idea where we're going with this. It's the third day in the valley. When society slumps into an economic recession, it seems high-achieving graduates from elite universities often have an even harder time finding employment than their less brilliant peers. Normally, you'd think businesses facing difficult times would want skilled new employees to help them turn things around, but when companies focus entirely on treading water and protecting the status quo, providing good positions for intelligent, ambitious new hires can be very difficult. And if you're just going to be wasting hotshot talent on trivial chores, might as well just hire cheaper, less skilled workers to start off with, or so the thinking goes. As for why I'm bringing this up all of a sudden, it recently occurred to me that Kazumi Kazuki's situation within our team is something like that of the elite graduate in a recession. She has exceptional, even unique skills. In terms of raw abilities, she's in a different league from the captain Sakashita. But since her ranking is freshman, the very bottom of the totem pole, that talent puts her in an awkward position. Everyone recognizes and respects Kazuki's intelligence, but that doesn't mean they're ready to overturn our familiar system of authority, mainly because nobody knows where they stand in the new pecking order. Kazuki told me that pride isn't inherently a bad thing. The way she sees it, moderate sense of self-respect can be a balm for the soul. But still, an overdose of medicine is just another way of poisoning yourself.
Amane? どこにいるの? Amane?
Oh, snap.
こっちだよ、カズキ。ああ、いたいた。あなた、また日記をつけていたの？なんていうか、癖で暇な時に思いついたことを書き殴ってるだけなんだけどね。いいことよ。こんな状況だからこそ、そういった日常の行動が心を安定させるし。
Yeah, that's fair.
日記をつけることで現状を深く理解して客観的かつ冷静な判断力を得るという意味ではとても有効だと思うわ。
Oh, snap.
いや、そこまで考えて書いてたわけじゃないけどね。日記ってそういうものよ。私もよく書くもの。カズキも？ええ、紙に書くことはしないけれど。
I keep it in my head.
どういうこと？脳に書き込んでいるのよ。それって頭の中身を頭に記してることにならない？通常記憶用の脳みそと日記用の脳みそを使い分けているのよ。私、脳みそが5、6個あるってお医者様に言われたことがあるの。
There you go, guys. Genius.
本当に？もちろん冗談よ。
As always, Kazuki's attempts at a joke wasn't amusing in the slightest. The idea of her having half a dozen brains stashed away somewhere like some biological supercomputer felt far too plausible. I felt more like shuddering than laughing.
で、私に何か用事？うん、そうだった。ちょっと毒ダミの葉を摘んできてもらえないかしら。
Chameleon plant leaves.
毒ダミってあの臭いやつ？そう、沢の近くにたくさん自生していたでしょ。あれを摘んできてほしいの。まさかあれ食べるの？
Probably for medicine, actually.
食べられないわけじゃないけど、今回は薬に使うわ。
Exactly.
薬？何の？かゆみ止め。薬のストックが乏しくなってきているから、代用の効くものは代用します。できればよもぎなんかもあると嬉しいけれど。
Ah, yeah, very true.
よもぎって草餅に練り込むあれのこと？どんな草なの？見たことないの？どこにでも自生しているのに。ああ、これでも私都会っ子だし、草餅は作ったことあるけど、業務用のペーストを使ってたから仕方がないわね。
Kazuki pursed her lips and glanced around the area. Her gaze settled on Koideritsu, who was sitting idly on top of a rock nearby, apparently not quite sure what to do with herself.
小出さん、私、彼女と草摘みに行こうと思うのだけれど、大テントで広岡さんと桜井さんに付き添っていてもらえませんか？
Hey.
はい。でも汗を拭いたり水を飲ませてあげる程度ですから、何も面倒はないと思います。お願いできますか？すぐに戻りますから。
Just picking up some weeds. Wait, what?
わかったわ。さて、それじゃあ行きましょうか。
Why does Amane look like depressed half the time her portrait comes into the screen?
何が？だって小出さんは。
She was Captain Sakashi's partner. If our leader were to find out Kazuki had been ordering her friend around, I had the feeling things might get ugly again.
いいんじゃない？彼女、することもなくて暇そうだったし。
Kazuki is probably more concerned, like, well, we have to save these people, so.
こんな状況だし、することがないとサボっているようで気まずいでしょうしね。
She's one of those.
そっか。
Our supply of food was limited and shrinking. Under the circumstances, idle hands could be seen as a drain of our resources. The sick and injured had no choice, but for those of us still healthy, there wasn't much excuse for being anything less than proactive. Koide Senpai's partner, Captain Sagashita, was currently off investigating the area with Mr. Ochi. Why hadn't they taken Koide along on their survey? Did they simply decide she would have slowed them down? I couldn't think of any other reason they would have just ditched her here.
ねえ、和樹はどう思う？
そうね。ただ単に小出さんのことが気に入らないんじゃないかしら。
Metal, that's terrible. Amane is depressed because the situation keeps hitting her like a bus falling off a cliff.
どうして？
ここに来た初日に怪我人の治療をするために私は小出さんにお湯を沸かしてくださいってお願いしたでしょ？
うん。
それで小出さんは部長の許可をもらわずにペットボトルのミネラルウォーターを勝手に使ってしまったの。そのことで部長が怒ったら小出さんはだって風見さんがやれって言ったからと答えちゃったのね。
ああ、つまり部長より和樹の言葉を優先したのが気に入らないと。
You'll make a bus joke every stream until that flashback ends. Goddammit, Metal. I think those jokes will crash and burn like a bus falling off a cliff.
そういうこと。何の疑問もなく私の命令に従ってしまった小出さんは部長の中ではもう私のシンパとして認識されているのかもしれないわね。
Ah, poor Ritsu.
そんな、この非常時にそんなこと。
Saving people's lives were important, man.
言ってる場合じゃないのは部長も分かっているとは思うけれど仕方がないわよ。女の子ってそういうものでしょ？
I mean, that's what people are like in general.
まあね。
People are weird. People are strange. Female friendships tend to be power-based. Specifically, when girls choose their friends, they pick someone they think of as inferior. A girl inferior in academics, a girl inferior in appearance, a girl inferior at sports. Anything will do, as long as they're a clear inferior in some respect. We can graciously and confidently allow them to become our friend.
せっかくお友達になってあげたのに、私よりその子がいいならその子とお友達になればいいじゃないって、そんな感じなんじゃないかしら。
でもそれを言ったら他の子たちはなんだかんだ言っても結局みんな和樹の言うことを聞いてるじゃない。
私の言うことを聞いているというのとは少し違うんじゃないかしら。何か行動を起こそうという時は言い出した人間が責任者になるわけだし、現状を維持しようという保留案を提示した私に成り行きで同意しているだけじゃない？
そうかな。やっぱりみんな和樹のこと天才だって思ってるし、従っていれば間違いないって思ってるんじゃ。
Yeah, I think in the Power Store we recognize you as the leader.
だから人に天才だって言われるのは嫌なんだってば。私を羨ましいなんて思わないことね。天才になんかなったところで得られるのは称賛じゃなくて敵意と嫉妬だけよ。
That's true. Enemies come with being a genius.
そういうもの？
ええ、そう。私に友達がいなかった理由はそれよ。あなたが我慢強い子で助かるわ、アマネ。
どういたしまして。というか、和樹本当に友達いなかったんだ。
Well, she definitely didn't have the most outgoing personality. I couldn't picture her going out and trying to make a friend. I'd spent most of 3 days glued to her by now, but if not for that accident, it was hard to imagine we would have ever gotten to know each other like this.
そのとっつきの悪さと遠慮を知らない口ぶりと人を小バカにしたような態度を直せば友達できると思うよ。
You know, if you stopped picking fights with people, well, maybe you make friends.
それは私に別人になれと言っているようなものじゃないかしら。
まあ、そうなるかな。
At least the jokes between them are getting more fluid.
今さら私の性格が変わったらむしろみんな気持ち悪いって言うんじゃないかしら。
That's also true.
寂しくないの？
今はあなたがいるし、それに弟がいるから、それほど寂しいとは思わないわね。
Kazuki is the type of person who seems like she only keeps those she wants to keep close.
カズキ、弟なんているの？
Yeah, this is the first time she's actually mentioning this in the flashback.
ええ、いるわよ。やっぱりあれ、カズキに似てるの？
Surprisingly.
似ているかと聞かれればあまり似ていないわね。
Yeah, he doesn't have red eyes. Doesn't have silver hair.
あの子は私と違って母親似だから。そうね。優しいだけが取り柄みたいなところがあって可愛らしい子よ。
Hey, that's true. Actually, now that I think, usually it definitely worked very hard to keep personal relationships at a steady constant of pretty good.
へえ、やっぱりその子もってしまうし。
Apologies, guys. There was a slight connection error I just got. Just disconnected and reconnected, so we're back. That was weird. Anyway, Kazuka's saying him I wonder. I don't think he's stupid, but he's overly honest and rather awkward. Since he's my younger brother, he can't escape being compared against me. So if you missed anything, it was a single line. Did my quality drop too on my live stream? Maybe. Oh. That's a shame. The stream is continuing. Guys, just make sure it is continuing, alright? Let me know if it's not.
ちょっと頑張った程度じゃ誰も認めてはくれないのよね。そのことでは随分と悩んでいるみたい。
Yeah, that was very strange.
そっか。
Not surprising. I guess Kazuki would be one incredibly hard act to follow. Everyone would naturally be expecting great things of her brother. Alright, it looks clearer again, so looks like the quality jumped back to normal. Held up against the standard of his elder sister, the best achievements of a normal person would seem commonplace. At most, you could hope for a tepid, just what I expect from Kazuki's brother. But any minor mistake would get you a disappointed look that might as well be saying, "Are you really related to that genius?" I couldn't help but feel a twinge of sympathy.
なんかちょっとかわいそうかも。同情はやめてあげて。あの子がますます惨めな思いをするから。あ、ごめん。
Don't worry, you'll meet him soon, Amane.
確かにあの子に失望する声も多いし、それは両親ですら例外じゃない。でも私はあの子がとても大事だし、あの子をとても愛しているわ。
イエーイ。
それでいいのよ。たとえ世界中があの子を嫌っても、私が誰よりもあの子を愛している事実は変わらないのだから。偏ってるな。相手は弟なんでしょ？
Hey, little siblings are people you dote on, okay? Spoiled and rotten. If you're an elder sibling and you have a little sibling, treat them. Treat them as something.
そうかしら。まあ確かに変質している自覚はあるけれど、弟に甘い姉というのも別に珍しくはないでしょ？
Yeah, like as an older brother myself, like I always treat my little sister like dinners and stuff, you know, because it's the older brother thing to do, or the older sibling thing to do. Treat the younger ones, and you know, obviously we fought in London, things like that, and you raise cities and whatnot. But you know, sometimes you have to raise a city or two. Wait, what?
甘い？カズキが甘い？
I always viewed Kazumi Kazuki as something like a walking beaker of acid in a school uniform. Oh, wow. Sweet struck me as the single least appropriate adjective you could possibly apply to her.
そんなに驚くようなこと？弟なんだから可愛がるのは当たり前でしょ？これでも一応優しいお姉ちゃんのつもりなのだけれど。
Yeah, exactly, right?
似合わない！全然似合わない！びっくりするぐらい似合わない！
Kazuki, the girl will probably take one look at a classic abandoned puppy in a cardboard box on a rainy day, tell it fate is cruel, suggest you curse the heavens, and then walk right off without batting an eyelid? Kazuki, of all people, a doting big sister? I impulsively pull my cell phone out of my pocket and check the date.
あれ、今日は4月1日じゃないよね。
Wow! Wow! Yo, so if you think someone is hostile, walking beaker of acid.
あなた、失礼にも程があるわよ。私だって人間だもの。弟を可愛がりもするし、弟が落ち込んでいれば不器用ながらも慰めようと試みることぐらいはするわ。
Oh man, I hope my little sis doesn't come back and watch this live stream, but I'd like to let you know that like this is a little bit more personal, but back in high school, my parents used to do the same thing. They would compare my sister to me. I'm like, and I always used to confront them, like, you guys don't understand what it means, what a struggle means, because I was the type of person who got straight A's on tests and stuff because I showed up for class. And I felt no pressure during like a test. But 95% of people are terrible at taking like tests. Like tests are a terrible way to measure someone's aptitude at being good or bad at something. And to grade them on it, it's so silly. But, you know, schools are required to find some way of quote unquote measuring the aptitude of the students, to seeing where they are with the coursework. But tests are really dumb, guys. I'm gonna tell you that right now. And like most people get nervous taking them, but I never did. So I always did great on like any test I took. I took tests for fun. Even I took proficiency tests for fun, just because. Once took a test with 105-degree fever, Fahrenheit, not Celsius. If it was Celsius, I'd be dead. But 105-degree Fahrenheit, temperature. I took a test and like I did amazingly well on it, but like I was really out of it that day. But yeah, so like no, it's true. No, this actually hits a little bit closer to home than I thought it would, because I always hate the fact that people shouldn't compare one person to any other just willy-nilly. Oh, no, for me, whatever. Enough to sit through three periods of class and take a proficiency test, on the fourth one for fun. Yeah, yeah, it took a, you know what? Sometimes you have 105-degree fever and you take a test for it, okay? But yeah, like, no, but, and I, like, there's so much more that goes into each individual, and this is, I will stress this very clearly. It's kind of a weird thing to talk about at this point. Stress it very clearly. Do not mock the efforts of your fellow peers. Do not mock the efforts of your fellow human beings. We're all trying our best, our own way, in some way, shape, or form. So, you know, that it just helps to take the extra few seconds to take a step back, to take a deep breath, and be a little bit more considerate of one another. And that includes if you are a parent with children. That includes if you are a brother or sister, you know, a sibling, you know, friends, family, acquaintances. Like, you know, a little kindness can go a long way. And a little concern for one another can go a long way. It'll literally change the world, make the world great. You can literally change someone's day, week, month, year around even, with just that little bit of consideration. Anyway, we're back to the game. Kazuki was such a dry-eyed, tough-minded person that I guess I figured she was above any form of deep emotional attachment. To be honest, I could easily imagine her looking down on her newborn brother in a hospital incubator, muttering something like, "What do you think you're doing? I don't recall giving you permission to be born. You've thrown off my plans, whelp." Whelp! You threw my plans into our... Yeah, she is. No, of course not. When Kazuki fixed those inky black eyes on me, Felt as though she was glaring right through my skull into my thoughts. Flustered, I shook my head in denial.
ねえ、弟さんってそんなに可愛いの？そうね。思わずキスしたくなるぐらい可愛いわ。
Now that's weird.
へえ。
I wouldn't kiss my little sister though. To put that right, I really wouldn't kiss my little sister. Like I'd hug her, you know, I'd carry her, but no kissing. I'm well. Actually, I think that's more like me personally. I'm not a kissy person. I don't kiss people. Like, so. Like, hugs. I'm okay with hugs. No kisses. No kisses. Hearing all this was getting me a little interested in seeing him for myself.
実際何度かキスをしたけれど、何度しても飽きないわね。
Katsuki seems like the super affectionate type. It's like, oh, you're so cute. Amane's probably like, wait. Giving in to the temptation, kissing her brother? On the cheek or something, right? Right. Well, let's hope it's not incest. I didn't have any brothers, so I didn't quite get it. But maybe that wasn't too out of the ordinary for a close pair of siblings. Well, to be fair, me and my sister also fought a lot, so maybe that's why. You know, when you see each other every day.
本当に可愛いわ。
But, you know, me and my sister bonded like over other things. Like, we watch anime together, we play video games. She's not a big anime fan, guys, but, you know, she watched some anime. She watched some. I know that once it's done airing, she'll watch all of Cardcaptor Sakura. That's currently airing right now, as of this live stream. Because I'm definitely going to, like, sit her through it, too. I'll be like, yo! Because I watched, like, the first 2 episodes. I was like, yo, this could be really good. But, like, the weight was gonna kill me, so I had to, like, I'm gonna drop it for now. I'm gonna watch it when it's all aired. Anyway. Somehow the smile on Katsuki's face didn't seem particularly innocent. Katsuki! You're the reason why Yuji might be mentally scarred in the future, among many other things. Even for a close pair of siblings, no, especially for a close pair of siblings, wasn't that a little abnormal? Yes. Katsuki, don't do that. That's so weird. Ugh. Also, I never understood the Emoto fetish thing because I have a little sister. I'm like, ugh, disgusting. So what was this girl doing to her brother?
どうかした？あなた、顔が赤いわよ。
Katsuki, however, is laughing this off. I don't even know. I don't know.
あのさ、今ここで私が道徳を解き始めたら、あなた笑う？
Katsuki's like, I never take you that far, probably.
内容によるわね。
Katsuki's way of showing her affection for a sibling was clearly wrong. Wrong! Well, this took a turn for what I didn't think. Oh, man. I was like, oh, I can start to relate. Nope, I can't relate to that. I'm sorry, Katsuki, you lost me there. I never expected to be explaining a fundamental mistake like this to her, of all people. When I gently prodded her for more information, I soon discovered she was still taking baths with her brother. While Katsuki's body wasn't exactly well developed, she did have curves in the right places. Bathing with your brother at that age is more than a little dicey, right? Yeah, seriously, I stopped bathing with my sister when I was in kindergarten. I mean, to be fair, I had to start bathing for myself when I was in kindergarten, so maybe that's why. Man, those are horrible days. Like, learning how to shampoo and shit. Oh, God, that's the worst. Being 5 years old sucks. Anyway. Although, being my age now also kind of sucks, but because I know the world is a shit place at times. Anyway, even at the best of times, the love between a brother and sister is built on a fairly precarious balance. And Little Miss Genius here had definitely taken things well beyond the tipping point. Skirting around the larger issue, I gingerly pushed the conversation along by hinting that the baths really needed to stop, prompting her to inquire, is sleeping together at night also off limits, in slightly dejected tone of voice. Yeah, like even like Casserole, I would say that Sukoha is like one of my favorite characters from Sword Art Online. By the way, I have watched Sword Art Online. You guys aren't offended by that, but yeah, I think like even like that stage, it's a little weird because once you get into sibling territory, it feels really strange. Like because I have like for me personally. I'm a very logical person, so maybe that's also why. But like there's like a familial love I feel, and there's like a like a sexual love I feel for like people who I would love like as a like a life partner kind of thing, significant other. Familial love never crosses into that for me. Like I never feel like for me it feels very different. Like to love like a family member and to love like a SO. And Kazuki seems like she like Suga like crosses that line, and for me I'm like that's kind of weird, and Kazuki's crossing that line as well. Now with the whole sleeping at night together, like me and my sister used to sleep in the living room all through high school too, because that was where our air conditioner was, and so like my parents would be like my parents' room didn't have an AC when I was in high school, and neither our bedrooms did, so all of us would be sleeping out in the living room. Like, my parents had this giant L cushion, like this giant L-shaped couch. So my parents would take like the couch, and my sister would have to take the floor, and we'd put our blankets down. It was fun. But yeah, no, seriously, sleeping in the middle of summer when it's like 100 degrees, or like even like 95 degrees and humid in New York City, like yeah, having an AC is really nice. Like, non-AC life sucks. Smells like popcorn. Like I'm enjoying this. But I know, like like sleeping. Like sleeping is okay. Like obviously sharing a bed. It's like whatever, you share a bed. Like I share beds with friends, family, whatever. Like everyone needs to sleep, except me. Like so I remember my little sis used to tell me that when I started snoring, because I snore at night. When I used to start snoring, she said she'd like punch me, and I stopped snoring for like a few minutes when she punched me at night. I was like, oh, and every once in a while I wake up with like a bruise on me. I'm like, oh, where'd that come from? I must have knocked something over, or like I must have hurt myself like the day before. Didn't even think about it. My sister finally told me like one day. She said, oh yeah, sometimes I punch you because you snore so loudly. I have to hit you to keep you to make you shut up. Oh man, I was like, oh, that explains the bruises every once in a while. But I could take a beating too, so I'm pretty tough. I studied lots of martial arts and things like that as a kid. Anyway, where was I? And when I went soft, mumbling something about maybe every once in a while, she fired off cheerful. It's okay to give him specific lessons on the birds and the bees, right? No. Hey, mind if I ask you something? To be honest, I feel a little silly asking a question like this to the infamous prodigy Kazumi Kazuki. I just can't help myself. I'm burning with curiosity. Here goes. Hey, might you be completely out of your mind? Okay, look. This is the only way of life I know. Really isn't helping me deal with this, you know? Can you cut a girl a break here? Ah!
というか、今まで誰も注意しなかったの？例えばほら、母親とかさ。
Back to conversation, guys.
そういえば子供の頃にお外ではしないようにねってそう言われたような気がするわ。
Make sure you don't do that outside.
家の中でなら OK なのかよ。
Basically, it sounds like, yeah, shitty parents, Kazuki. Sounds like their mother made some mistakes here as well. Some pretty fundamental ones, actually. Wasn't hard to imagine Kazuki's home must have been an unusual place since it was the environment that produced a super genius. But this freakish lack of common sense was well beyond my expectations.
とにかく間違ってるから、このままじゃ和樹の弟、絶対にろくな大人にならないよ。
He grew up to be a slightly sadistic, sarcastic individual. It's true.
そう？これでも結構真面目に育てているつもりなのだけれど。
Trust me, you're not going to have to worry about that much longer, Kazuki. Give it 2 weeks. Wait, what?
どの辺が？ありがとうって上手に言える子に育てているの。え？ どういう意味？言葉の通りよ。素直に人に感謝することができるって素晴らしいと思わない？
I mean, that's nice.
そりゃまあ
Jeez.
そう、例えばあなたの口癖のごめんなさいだけど、人に迷惑をかけた時素直に謝罪できるのって素晴らしいことよ。
I mean, that's also true. You have to learn to apologize. You have to learn to give thanks.
そうかな。
I wasn't trying to make it my catchphrase. I was taught from a young age that if you think you did something bad, apologize first and make excuses later. It was a major pillar of the vinegary education in manners I received from my mom. I have to look up that word. I actually don't recognize that off the top of my head. Google Senpai, help me right now. How do you pronounce that? Oh, it's just vinegary. Sour like vinegar. Huh. Okay, that was actually a lot simpler than I thought it was. So, major pillar of the vinegary education and manners I received from my mom. So, basically, not that pleasant of a way to learn manners, but she learned it nonetheless.
それと同じことよ。人に感謝することができる人間は、できない人間よりも幸せな人生を歩めると思わない？
Hey, didn't someone mention that before? I remember that.
確かに。
It may be a subtle difference as often as not. But if you can remember to show your gratitude in small ways, never taking the goodwill of others for granted, your life will probably end up ever so slightly the richer for it.
あれ？和樹あんた、今ちょっといいこと言った？
Kazuki, you went from talking about incest to saying something profound.
あなた本当に失礼ね。私はいつだっていいことしか言わないでしょ。それこそ私の言葉をまとめれば、風見和樹名言集として税込み1890円で売れるぐらいよ。
Wow, she even said 1,890 yen price point.
何その微妙にリアルな値段設定。
What publisher would make a hardcover edition of that anyway? I could just picture it. Chapter 1. Take a bath with your little brother is not a crime! Oh god. Maybe the better question is, what's the target audience for a book written by a woman who sexually harassed her own little brother? That's a very valid point.
お風呂か。そういえば。
I haven't taken a bath in a while. It had already been 3 days since the last time I washed myself. 3 days I'd spent in a human ravine wearing the same unwashed school uniform. I pinched my clothes and brought my fingers to my nose, then quickly jerked my head back at the raw, sharp body odor they carried.
くさ。ねえ、和樹、私匂わない？
You guys all smell.
人は生きていれば代謝を続けるものだし、それに今は臭い切れというか、毒ダミの苦い匂いしかしないけど。
Yeah, well, that's gonna happen.
やだな。お風呂に入りたい。沢が見つかって水は潤沢なのだし、水浴びをしたら？佐久間さんなんか沢が見つかってすぐに私のところへ水浴びの可否を聞きに来たわよ。
Oh.
いいの？むしろ衛生面に気を配らないと皮膚病になる可能性もあるし、その辺の事情を含めて部長にはすでに許可を取り付けてあるから何も問題はないわ。私も何度か水浴びしてみたけれど気持ちいいわよ。
Kazuka, I bathe, girl. What's wrong with you?
言ってよ。つか誘いなさいよ。私たちペアでしょ。だって私、あなたの隣で裸になるの嫌だわ。高級スポーツカーの隣に駐車された軽自動車の惨めをあなたは想像できる？
Kazuki's like, whoa, you're more developed than me, girl. I feel jelly.
なんで車で例える？その方があなたには分かりやすいかと思って。
I mean, I think Amane gets it though. I mean, what's the problem with mini cars? I love them for your information. They're cheap and easy to maintain, for one thing, but more importantly, they're incredibly light, and a wise man once said, when it comes to turning, nothing beats a low-weight car, you know?
和樹って時々姿が見えなくなると思っていたけど、私に隠れて水浴びなんかしてたのね。
Secret bath time.
別に隠れていたわけではないけれど、まあいいわ。薬草を積み終わったらあなたも水浴びに行ってきたら。そうさせてもらう。
Alright, so I think we're gonna leave it off here. Wow, we got an extra 40 minutes. I was thinking of cutting off at 9 too. Oh my goodness, day 3 is gonna be long, as is all the days. But for now, this is animefanrk2k. Thank you very much for those of you stuck to the very end of this Monday night live stream. No, I went longer, and it's because like these flashbacks are long, and it's like super serious time. So, you know, I want to get past it, and we'll get past it together. So yes, I will see you, Metal. See whoever else is still here. Peace out. Oh, and oh, thanks, Casserole. And one final thing. Look forward to my Twitch live stream tomorrow. Because of a release of a certain game called Neptune V2R. I might be live streaming that at 7 p.m. on my Twitch. So check it out. Peace.